All right, Joe. We are checking in on the presidential election here. Make sure everything is good. I need this one. All right, let's see how this is going. Trying some new software this evening. I know many of you are. All right, sounds good. Watching some other broadcasts right now. We'll be tuning in to several different channels, just kind of getting perspectives from different folk, and just seeing how that goes. In the interim, looks like right now this is just from Google. They have Kamala at 175 and Trump at 214. All right, so let's go ahead and check in with breaking points here and see what they got going on. So right now they're kind of reflecting on that. Let's go ahead and check in on, we'll check in on a few different folks here. This is MSNBC showing Trump at 52% of the popular vote, Harris at 46.5%. Wow. So we're talking about a 4.6 million person difference. Right now, we haven't gotten to California and Washington and all these states that are going to go for Kamala for sure. Uh, Also, we'll check in on some of the governor's races and whatnot. So this is MSNBC. All right, let's go ahead and check in with Fox News and see what they're talking about. The Arizona Senate, Ruben Gallego, who is leading Kerry Lake, 53 to 40. All right, let's go ahead and check in with Sabby Sabs, one of my new favorites. Shout out to Elvadi at 179 to 214. Really? Trump winning North Carolina. Is that surprising to you guys? Looking at different here in North Carolina. What are we thinking about this overall in short? For those of you that are just tuning in to looking at the numbers, you might be quite shocked to see where it is. For those that have been watching it for the last hour and a half or so through various channels, how are you thinking? How are you feeling? Uh, Sabby has 230 and 179. Um, as these numbers are coming in here, go back to her, see what she's talking about. Carolina is 50.8 to 48, and that looks like 89 report. Yep. So as we're looking at this here, they are excited because they called North Carolina. I didn't see that. Let's check in on, oh, what are we looking at here? Oh, this is King 5 News. They're looking at the local election right now. We'll come back to them. As you can see, they have Steve Hobbs, the Democrat, at 61%, and Dale Whitaker for Secretary of State. I'll be sharing some of my uh, who I voted for this evening. I think that might surprise some folks. But definitely, so far, it's too early to call any of these things. But for sure, I think this may be a referendum on the Democratic Party. And we will look at those numbers. But I think a lot of mistakes were made on both sides. Here we have Patrice McCarthy at 50% for state auditor, and Matt Hawkins, the Republican, at 48.7. That literally just changed while I was reading it. So that's pretty close. And of course, too early to call. That's only 55% in. All right. And so we'll keep looking at these. Let's go ahead. Oh, we've got Mike. Ooh, I don't even know how to say that. Pelicascadi Coiti. I butchered that. Mike P is at 50%, the Democrat at 56% in so far, and Sharon Hanek at 49.4%. So this is state treasurer. And so right now, uh, Democrats are really doing a good job in Washington. Dave Upthegrove is at 54% for the Commissioner of Public Lands, and Jamie Herrera uh, Bootler is at 46%. All right, and again, too early to call. Looks like District 6. I think I just saw Randall there. So we'll keep checking in on the local election there. This is TYT. And what I want to do is just kind of check in on several different channels here to kind of get oh, a span of different folks and their thoughts on the election this evening. So you're going to have bias to the left, bias to the right, and all things in the middle. But this is definitely some surprising things here. Michigan looks like Kamala's got a lead right now, uh, and not quite enough if you look at is Jill Stein or uh, Robert Kennedy playing a spoiler for either party. Not so. On those, add that up. And let's go on back. So we're looking at 177 to 246 from what the breaking points is looking at, and they're getting their information from the AP on Google. So let's just go and check on and see if that is indeed what it looks like, because that is what I'm looking at here. See, a little bit different, right? The AP on Google. I am on google.com, 187 to 230 for Trump. All right. Now, that's pretty interesting. Washington already has 58% reporting. Oregon is at 58% reporting. California is only at 17%. California or Nevada expected soon. Do we think that Nevada is going to go blue or do we think it's going to go red? Ooh, that one's kind of a toss up, right? You got a lot of working class folks in Nevada. Arizona has 50% reporting. This is a very tight race, 49.7 to 49.5. Uh, I don't even know if you can get even closer than that for a tie, right? Montana, quite the lead there. in regards to, they only have 6% reporting, so they're just getting in there. North Dakota, 61% recording. Donald Trump at 70% there. This one you might start feeling good about calling, which is no surprise there. South Dakota is at 24%. So that's too early to call. However, that typically goes red. Now, Colorado, we could check in here, 64% reporting, 54.9% for Kamala, and 42.9% for Donald. And that may not change. New Mexico, 70% reporting, 52% to 46%. Feel pretty good about calling this one for Kamala there. Texas, 40 electoral votes. This is a big one here. Of course, I think they were expecting this to be a red state, possibly moving toward purple in the coming years. But 76% reporting, probably feel good enough that that lead is large enough. She's not going to be able to catch there. Big one here was Georgia. We're still checking in on this. Now, they're saying 91% of the votes are in. And he's got a pretty decent lead there at 51% to 48.3%. However, you do have a lot of the mail-in ballots, and those tend to be Democratic votes. So this is, I don't know if this is too early because most of those votes are going to, I believe, be Democratic. So can she close the lead and overtake Trump at 91% reporting? We shall see. Now, a lot of people are saying that it's not likely that this gets called tonight. So we'll just have to see. But I will stay with this for a while. Of course, we've got Maine and Vermont and New York. New York, do we think that this was close? 83% reporting. Kamala, feel confident that, she's going to get this check mark here. 56 to 43. 13%. It'd be interesting to see how much Trump lost this by last election. Okay. Virginia, for a while, I believe Trump had a lead in Virginia for a little bit, but now Kamala has come back and overtaken him, 50.3% versus 48.1%. At 77% reporting, is it likely that he could come back? Again, if there are outstanding ballots, probably not likely. They're probably going to be Democratic, so feel pretty good about calling that for Kamala. Now, Pennsylvania was a big one here with Donald Trump at 51% and Kamala at 47.9%, almost 48%. Now, that's 76% reporting. Again, kind of like Atlanta or Georgia, if there's some mail-in ballots, can she come back on that? But these are some really important swing states here. I think Kamala really needs to win Pennsylvania. Georgia is another big one. You're talking about 16 and 19 electoral votes, respectively. That's really big. Michigan, 34%. Going for Donald Trump, or 34% so far counted, 52 to 45. 45.9, about 46%. Whew, that one is a tough one, right? These are states that she really needs to win here. Donald Trump here in Wisconsin, almost 67%, reporting there almost to 70%. Donald Trump at 50.9% and Kamala at 47.6%. And then Minnesota as well. Now, Minnesota only has 16% counting with 10 electoral votes. So this one is way too early to call. She could catch up pretty quickly and easily there. All right. Now let's just flip over to Arizona again. This one is super tight. I mean, this is the tightest one so far in Arizona. All right. So 187 to 230. Now it's the first one to 270 wins. So what does Trump need? What does he need? Definitely be good for him to secure Arizona and Nevada. He'll get Hawaii, or he'll get Alaska. Kamala will probably get Hawaii. All right. Now, my candidate is not doing too well. I should send a shot so I can share that with everybody. See if I can't get in here. All right, let's go back to what's breaking points talking about. Okay. 214 to 172. A video here. Hold that. 214. So, according to MSNBC, still needs quite a bit. Now, this is another one, too, right? 10 uncalled, 49 to 41. Right now, Republicans are gaining 2 seats. And in the House, Republicans have gained 2 seats, 170 to 119. Now, those that are on the Democratic side undoubtedly will feel like this is a big loss for the Democratic Party, but I don't think that they were expecting to potentially lose not only the House but the Senate. So this is also a possibility. We have to really be considerate and see what that might mean. Okay, looks like she's closing the lead. Last time we showed this, uh, the difference was 5 million. So coming back a little bit. And let me see. All right. And see that here. And just so you can see, my presidential vote here was for Jill Stein. So don't think you're going to be able to say that I'm a misogynist and wouldn't vote for a woman. Not anti black because Dr. Ware is a black man running for vice president. So the Democratic Party is going to have some serious questions that they're going to have to answer. And I believe just early on, a lot of what they've done is they have, and whether you want to say that Trump caused folks to act this way, uh, but they became the party that they said that they hated, right? The name calling, uh, the canceling. I think the Democratic Party is and has been doing that worse than the right at this point. And, Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. And the Democratic Party just said, nope, we're going to go low, we're going to go lower. And that's what you've seen. And they've gone so low that it has turned off quite a few folks, quite a few demographics. And having, you know, feminist black women uh, and President Obama, D.L. Hughley, uh, you name the black male celebrity come out and chastise and demonize black men who are the second highest voting bloc for the Democrats to lambaste them and basically shun them and mommy them into voting really, I think, showed it's a huge issue. Now, it's not over. It's early. There's plenty of time. However, that being said, this should be a wake up call to the Democratic Party. If it's not, uh, I think you're gonna have bigger fish to fry in 2 to 4 years, right? However you look at it, whether people feel like, hey, Democrats opened up the floodgates and wanted immigrants to come in because they were gonna vote blue, all of the different tricks and the things and the strategies that the Democrats have done in order to win, and then this election is that close, I think really speaks to the issues that the Democratic Party has and what they're going to need to do if they're going to want to change uh, and win people back. Otherwise, they're just going to push people, even further away. Let's check in on some other folks here, see what's going on. All right. This is the House. Now it's showing a net gain of 1. All right. How are y'all doing? Okay. Hopefully you guys are doing well, hanging in there. Yes, I do did like Jill Stein and Dr. Ware. They spoke most to the issues that were important to me. Um, the way that Kamala got into being the nominee for the Democrats. Uh, Myself, and I'm sure millions of Americans believe was wrong when she ran for president. Before she was the first one out, did not get any votes, and so this was this was not it. This was not it. So we're just kind of checking in on different folks here and seeing what's happening. We're gonna stay and just check in on everything. Okay. Ooh, initiative. Let me go ahead and pause that. Initiative 2124, opt out of Washington Cares. 44% to approve, 56% to reject. All right. And 57% of those numbers so far have been tallied. So we're almost at 60%. It's 8:30, it's early, right? That looks like our old governor, Greg Locke, I believe. Is it Greg Locke or Gary Locke? It's been a minute. TYT 179, 230. Senate balance 40 to 48, and the House balance 164. As you can see, Carrie Lake looks like she's going to lose again. Uh, Scott is beating Powell in Florida. So we got the Democrat winning, the Republican winning. Here we've got Tester losing to Sheehy, which Tester, I believe, is the incumbent. And then Moreno is beating Sherrod Brown. Now, Sherrod, or Sherrod, however you pronounce his name, has been a long time staple in Ohio. So that is a big upset to see him go down, right? Sherrod. That's a big, 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 big one there. Wow. Wow. Okay. So you're seeing it. You're seeing it. Okay. No on 2117, a bad deal for Washington. Let's see what they're talking about here. All right. That looks like definitely a winner. Okay. See how we're doing. Let's go ahead and let's look back at our map. Wyoming projected winner. Wisconsin, Michigan too close to call. Let's tune in and see what they're talking about here. So 100,000 students there. Hmm. We'll see. Wow. Wow. So saying is, if you with Sherrod Brown losing, the Senate is going to flip to Republicans. So again, this is a referendum. That's exactly what it is. Uh, we've been talking about the needs of boys and men in general, and then, as you can see, the League of Black Male Voters, things that are of interest to us specifically. And, the Democrats have not advocated for that. As you know, we hosted our Democratic debate earlier, a couple months ago, and no candidate had been asked a question about reparations, and quite frankly, about many of the questions that were asked, right? And so things that are important to us weren't even broached, right? Not only that, if they could have been broached, would they have been brought to the floor? So I've heard from some of our local politicians that it's not their issue, but they would support it if it came to them, things of that nature. So basically, what you're saying is, you're not about advocating for what our interests are, and so what we need to do is find and elect folks that are going to put our interests forward, right? And not demonize folks for it. What's very interesting is, and quite frankly, quite disgusting, is watching Democrats, especially local Democrats here, demonize Republicans. I think it's pretty sickening, right? As they say, oh, well, that's what the Republicans have been doing. Okay, that's what they've been doing. It's what they've been doing. However, because they do it doesn't mean that you have to do it, right? So it didn't serve you, and now this is where you're at. But to say, hey, you know what, we need to vote for a bad candidate, which is what a lot of people were advocating here for locally. Let's vote for the bad candidate because we want blue no matter who, is really an integrity issue, right? And folks are watching and paying attention to that and watching how folks will do and say anything to get power, to get elected, and then try to stay in power the same way instead of trying to win the right way on the issues and not make it a thing of, what they say, orange man bad, right? So great, orange man bad. But what are you going to do to address the issues that we're having? That's what folks wanted to hear. Not that it's another existential election and oh my God, if you don't vote this way, then all is lost and whatnot. And then again, in particular, if you have been watching the news, whether it's been on the right, talking about how the left has demonized black men, or from the left, watching how folks from the left have demonized black men and saying, well, we're the reason, we're misogynists, we're anti-black, we're sellouts, we're coons, we're all kinds of things for not voting for Democrats when we year after year after year we're told, well, you know what, you're not black if you don't vote Democrat, right? Biden told us that. Uh, we looked at the Growth Management Act here in Kitsap, and as I shared, in the next 10 to 15 years, only almost 11% of black people here in this county will be homeowners, right? So with the Dems having all this power, what have they done for us? We just continue to lose, right? But you need our vote, or you demand our vote and demand our silence, and we get nothing for it. And so this is what you're seeing right now, right? Now, of course, you also have to look at the fact that black folks are 13% of the population. And so then if you divide that, then that means only 6.5% of those are men. And in that 6.5%, almost 80% are voting Democratic regardless, right? So now you're talking about, oh, what? More than 40 something percent. So let's say 44%, which would be 66, so about 22% or 2.2%. So 2.2% of black men either some already vote Republican, and then others that have left the Democratic Party for this particular election, and then all black men get demonized, right? We're tired of it. Tired of it. All right, let's check back in. Let's look at our map. So if Kamala is able to pull out a win, I think this really is going to serve as a wake-up call. At least I hope that will serve as a wake-up call for the Democratic Party, and not to take the black vote for granted, not to demonize black men, to look and seek out what our interests are, uh, and look to talk to people that are outside of their comfort circle, right? So being a part of this community, and talking to some of these politicians and seeing who and where they frequent, right? They have their, I want to call them token blacks because that's a pejorative, but they have the blacks that they get along with, the ones that are friendly, the ones that think the way that they do, but they don't talk to the black folks that don't agree with the ones that they feel comfortable having a lunch or having a dinner with or showing up with, right? That those things aren't happening. And you can tell they're not happening because those conversations aren't had, right? Huge, huge issue. Huge issue. All right, let's check in, see what's happening here. Oh, let's look at Wisconsin. 70% reporting Donald Trump at 51%. Kamala Harris at 47.6%. Man, will they be able to call this one tonight? Could be. Michigan, this one probably won't get called tonight at only 40%. It's 11:49. I think are they 2 or 3 hours ahead? Maybe they're 2 hours ahead. Maybe it's 10:49 there. 51.6% for Trump and 46.7% for Kamala. This one's way too early to call, right? But as you know, this has to do with Palestine, right? So this is a huge issue. Huge issue. There was a article that I was watching earlier today, where they were talking about Kamala putting out ads to the Muslim community and to everyone else, and to the Muslim community, and simultaneously, right? Oh yeah, we understand, and we need to, stop the killing, and this is horrible and whatnot. And then on the other side, it was, America, and I will always stand with Israel, and no matter what, you will protect yourself, and we're going to help you to do it. And da 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 da. And she's full throated in her endorsement. And so when you're forked tongue in that way, right? Sometimes you pay for it. Sometimes you get away with it. Sometimes you pay for it. And so folks that were taking that money from that pact, right? And we have local ones that I did not vote for. When that information came out, if we have some time tonight, I will pull that up because we are able to actually see who took money from who. All right. And if you want to figure that out on your own and you want to look, you can do that. I actually took a shot of it. It is on your mail-in ballot. And it is, you can check and see who donates to campaigns. You can go to the pdc.wa.gov. Let's see if we could do that. www.pdc.wa.gov. Let's see what pops up here. And you can also call and get that information. Also, public political disclosure data. Let's see. And here are the expenditures. Look at all this money spent. This is another thing that's pretty sickening to me when you think about the issues that we have in this country with homelessness, with drug addiction, poverty, uh, educational issues, and we're spending. Kamala has more than $1 billion in her coffers. We're looking at 25 million for the governor's race, right? This is one state, 25 million. With all of these millions and millions and millions of dollars, could we not have found a way to look at this? We can look at, let's see, Emily Randall. See if this pops up. Local. Candidates. Nothing. All right. Let's see. Did I spell that right? Boom and boom. Boom. Did I pull up anyone? No? All right. Let me see. Or is it Randall Emily? All right. There's got to be a way to do it up in here. Candidates. Ah, here we go. Maybe this is the way that we'll do it. All right, let's look at change the election year. 2029, huh? All right. We'll go and just scroll down to 2024. Got to be an easier way to do this, but for now, we're here. So let's just do that. Walla Walla. All right, we're getting closer there. Ron Cameron. And I appreciate those of you who voted for me. I did not run for commissioner this year. Clearly, it is something I probably should have considered. So I will entertain running for commissioner next time. Let's see. Here's one. Christina Rolfs. First one we popped up. So let's see what we can see here. So she got almost $100,000 in contributions. She spent $64,000. 134 independent expenditures. Okay, that's quite a bit. All right. Scott, Robert Gelder. Right. Wow. And again, so you can look and see these are the reports. Just click on one, just curious. All right. So, all this information is here. One of the things that the league is hoping to do is to educate the community on how these things go, how they work, because so many of us don't know. And that is by design, right? So it can be difficult to figure out how these things work. And then when it seems so difficult and you're already trying to survive because you're in survival mode, that you don't have the discretionary time to figure out how to run for office and all the rules and all the different things and the strategies and getting to know folks and yada, 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 what you can do, what you can't do. It's like when we go to city council and we say, hey, we want this or we would like that. And they say, well, nope, you can't do that. That's not the responsibility of council. That's not the responsibility of the commissioner. This is a state issue. This is how are you supposed to figure that out, right? That can be very frustrating. It can be daunting. And again, if you don't have a lot of discretionary time, that's like, man, I just don't have the time for it. So, Michelle Caldier. Okay, we can click on her. Registered as a party Republican. Her starting balance was $3,200, and she got almost $200,000 in contributions, and she spent $120,000. Wow, wow. Her there's a political action committee donated 15,000 to her campaign. Whew. Tiffany K. Mitchell at $184,000, almost $185,000, and she had 170. Looks like that's what she spent. Is that what the orange is? I believe that's what the yellow is in the legend there. Wow, wow. So we're talking about big money, folks. That's big money. It's big money. Let's see what else we can see in here that we recognize. Okay. Greg Nance.
Motion detected at the front door.
Let's see, Greg Nance, 175,000, and he spent 134,000. Again, Political Action Committee donated 38,000. The party donated 13,000, and other was 23,000. You can see Brent Felix here was really close during the primary, and then Dr. Gibbons, and you can see Shannon Turner and Jamie Miles, respectively, right? Pretty fascinating. All this information is here that you can see. Look at a few more, then we'll check back in on the presidential election here. Seen a lot of people had no idea that this information was here, and it's literally on the back of your on your mail-in ballot. Literally on the back. Andre Stackhouse, that's for governor. All right, just looking for names here. Let's see. Scrolling down through here, I'm not seeing anyone on this page that I recognize. Okay. Scroll back up to the top. I like starting at the top and then scrolling down. All right. We'll do 2 more pages and then we'll flip back over, take a look at the presidential election. Jeff Coughlin running for commissioner during the primary. All right. 19,000 in contributions, spent 18,000. Self put in 12 grand to self, individual. This is where he spent the money. Right. Orrin Root, running for commissioner, 67,000. Stacy Smith, 33,000. Matt Macklin, the attorney, 28,000. Jeff Coughlin, and then Sean Murphy, 16,000. So right now the commissioners between Orrin and Sean. And then here's your write-in, which was Daryl Riley. I don't know who Jeffrey Wilson is or Nicomas Paul. I don't even know who that is. So you can click in here and see. So he had $7,200 in contributions, spent 21. Okay. And you can see that. See, pretty interesting, right? Wow. And then you can even see who donated and how much, right? So you can see Wendy Ellison from Seattle gave 500. Susan Eldheat from Mercer Island gave 250. Eric White from Gig Harbor gave 1,200. Riley himself, from the Up from Slavery Initiative, gave 445. Huh. Wonder how that works. Okay. Al Werner gave 500. There was a small contribution of 100. Lisa DeFaria in Poulsbo gave 50. The Police, Carmen Best, gave 250 twice. Lisa DeFaria gave another 75. Lillian Robinson gave 250. Allison Rotter gave 250. Gloria Jones gave 150. And Donna Moreland gave 1,200 from Kingston. And the rest were small donations. All right. All right. Pretty interesting here. Looks like outside of Eric, not too many men were very supportive. All right, but let me go back in here because that's interesting. Now that we know we can click in and look at who gave. Let's look at Orrin. And where did I click to see that? Okay, contributions. So let's see who donated to him. Tremont Commercial LLC gave 450. Mayberry Insurance gave 500. Disney Bob gave 750. Whitney Clark gave 500. Wayne Construction 500. Siegel Alexander gave 1,000. Keenan Design gave 800. A lot of businesses giving to Orrin there. Waterman Mitigation Partners gave 700. The Rush Company 700. Siegel Smith gave 900. Morrison Gravel 1,000. Viking Fence 1,000. Tremont Commercial 750. Some small contributions there. Larson Wesley. Jarkeen Page 300. Teray Gary 500. So you can see Dave Overton 1,200. Melanie Root 8,200. The 23rd Legislative District Republicans 250. Ed Wolf 250. Shane McGraw 1,000. JJ's Fish House 500. Disney and Associates 200. Frank Reed 500. Let's see who else. Olala Valley Vineyard. Fascinating. All right. Fascinating. All right, so this is where you can see who gave what. Who gave what? Isn't that fascinating there? So interesting. Look at one more. Maybe I spelled the name wrong there. Ah, there we go. Emily Randall. 11,000, almost 12,000 plus 10. So she already had basically 12 grand and then added another 10, spent 14. And then we can click in here to contributions. Miscellaneous, Puget Sound Pilots, Squaxin Tribe, Craig Woda. Okay, a lot of small contributions. State Farm Federal PAC. Interesting. From Illinois. Okay, so people can give from out of state. Puyallup Tribe of Indians, 1,200. Okay. Interesting. Miscellaneous receipts from Washington, D.C. All right. So you can see Washington Federal of State Employees gave 600. So you can see here who gave to each party. Okay. All right, let's get back. See what we have going on. All right. So Kamala is closing in. We're looking at 209 to 230 according to Google. And so it looks like are they calling Washington for her? 58% for Kamala, 58.8, and only 38.9% for Donald Trump. Jill Stein down here, she got 0 electoral votes, and she has 493,000 votes. Now, I voted for Jill Stein, so my vote here went to Jill Stein. Oregon, 60% reporting. Okay, we're within a percentage of each other. Let's see where California is. 43%. As expected, he's getting clobbered down there in California. And that's 54 electoral votes, so that's a big one. Nevada, very interesting that they're kind of last out of everybody. 50% reporting. Lead, has actually changed a little bit. So it looks like Donald Trump has gained a couple tenths of a percent. I mean, that is tight. That is tight. That is super tight there. So, wow. Whoops. Get out of here. Whoop, I want to go back. Go back. Take me out. All right. So we can go into the actual counties here and kind of see how that broke down. And you can see this is probably Chicago in here, up there. Right? This blue is really big. Kamala Harris wins Illinois. And for those of you that don't really look at things like this is where the majority of people live in the Chicago area. So these are very dense populations, and so there are more people here in these blue areas than there are in the red areas combined, right? That's how a candidate is able to win in that way, right? So here, although the rural areas of Virginia are going to Trump, these, like Richmond, is quite black, right? Shout out to my auntie out there. And liberal, these have so many people from a population standpoint, they are able to out count all of the rest of the people in the state. So that's how that works. Just if you're curious there, same thing here, right? DC is huge, but here you've got the outskirts, right? So just if you're wondering how could that be, that's how that is. Let's check in on Georgia, 93%. So it's only changed by 2% since we checked in last time. 50.8% and 48.5% respectively. 2.6 million to 2.4 million. Would they say that's too close to count with 7% of the vote left? How much of the question is out of the 7% that's left, how much of that 7% is going to go to Kamala, and is that enough for her to catch and pass Trump there? So that is the question. But that one would be a big one. Pennsylvania, again, would be a big one. That's 84%, 51 to 48. So you're talking about 16% of the vote has not been counted yet. So if, let's say, 12, 13% of the remaining vote goes toward Kamala, is that enough to overtake Donald Trump there? So where you're seeing the light pink, this is where you're hoping, if you want Kamala to win, you're hoping that she overtakes, right? Michigan, only 47% are reporting so far. So this probably won't happen tonight, right? We'll have to wait till tomorrow. Wisconsin is at 77%. Depending on when they stop counting tonight, again, that's 23%. That's a lot of votes that are still outstanding. And many of these votes are mail-in ballots, and those typically tend to be Democratic. However, this year, Republicans have really got out and, done a lot of early voting. And I think some mail-in ballots, too. Minnesota, 55% reporting. Way too early. Again, this is the flip side, right? Where Kamala has the lead, but could Trump catch up? Probably not. Here we go. Nope, still too early. Let's see. Arizona, still the same. New Mexico is at 81%. Looking like it's probably going to stay that way. Like I said, Hawaii is blue, and that probably isn't going to change. And they already have it blue. 4 electoral votes. They don't even have the percentages, but they've already colored it blue. I don't think that was a mistake, but it is what it is. Montana's only at 15%. Idaho's at 38%. North Dakota's at 99%. South Dakota's at 37%. Nebraska's at 67%. Kansas is at 85. Let's look down here at Florida's at 98. So that's definitely strong. Alabama 93. Now see, here's a good example, right? So here they're giving this Alabama to Trump at 93% for Alabama. But at Georgia, it's 93%, but they're even though he has the lead, they're not calling that race yet. That's a good example right there, just side by side. And again, if you go into these counties, specifically all these counties in and around Atlanta, Augusta, Savannah, Macon, these all the votes have not been tallied yet, right? And there's a lot of blue up in here, and that can change pretty quickly. Okay. South Carolina. Let's get back out here. We're looking at 98% in, right? So at that point, 2%. We can start doing the math now, right? There's only 2% left. So total votes is 2.3 million. So 10% would be 230,000. 1% would be 23,000. So there's about 46,000 votes left. So if you added 46,000, go back in there. If you added 46,000 to the 978, would that be more than 1.4 million? No. That's why they can call South Carolina for Trump. You see how that works? And so now it's just a mathematical impossibility that she could win South Carolina, even if all of the mail in ballots, that last 2%, every single vote went for Kamala. She could not overtake Donald Trump in South Carolina. So that's how that's working. So you can do that math on those pieces when it gets to be that. Well, I guess you could do it when it's not that close. But the higher the percentage that's out, and the closer that it is, the harder it is to call, and that's why they kind of leave it open like that. All right. Well, let's kind of tune in and check out what people are saying here. All right. So let me see. Pulling up some information here to share with you. All right. The As breaking points here we have again MSNBC. See what they're talking about here. Uh, Still amazing that Trump is winning the popular vote. Uh, I think that says a lot. That says a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. Okay. Wow. 12 Democrats, 11 reps, the Senate. Okay. Let me go ahead and pause this. And 230 to 189. And let's get this over here to show you. Move that all the way over here. Kablam. All right. And let me fix this so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to have to do what over here? This particular screen is a little funky. Funky. All right. So, November 5th, this is the Kitsap County Auditors. Okay, we're here. Number of precincts, 243. Number of registered voters, 197,000. 97,000 total ballots have been counted. The estimated ballots left to count is 26,000. The next ballot count will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. And the last time it was tabulated was at 8:11. Okay, voter turnout was 49%. So this is a big one here, right? We are only half of us here are voting. Only half of us are voting. Again, regardless of who it is that you were voting for and who you wanted to win, imagine if you could whip votes and get those folks to come out and vote, right? That means anybody could have won. Anyone. All right. So here, Washington State Initiative Measure 2066, multi-county race. Results include only Kitsap County. Okay, 47,000 to 45,000. So we're pretty split on that here. Yes, on 2066. Here, Initiative 2109, 33 to 60. No on that. So we're pretty big on that. On the Initiative 2117, 35 and 58 respectively, almost the same. Okay. And then the last initiative, 2124, 40 to 52. This one was closer. And that was a no as well. All right. Here you've got pretty interesting. I think people should really pay attention to this, right? Now we're looking at Kitsap County. 59%, basically 60% went for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. 36% went for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Okay, 1% went to Robert Kennedy. And where my vote went was to Jill Stein. All right. Cornel West, 105. And look at all these write-ins, 240 write-ins. That's quite a bit. All right. Maria Cantwell, 57,000 to 37,000. 71 write-ins. Emily Randall, looks like she's going to win. 54,000 to 39,000. I did not vote for her. Here, Bob Ferguson and Dave Wright, 57 and 42. I think that's emblematic of the presidential campaign as well. Lieutenant Governor Danny Hack and Dan Matthews. I did vote for Danny Hack, 54,000. Steve Hobbs and Dale Whitaker. The Democrat beat out the Republican there, 60 to 39. Mike, sorry, Mike, you won. So I'm about to learn how to say your last name. Mike P, 55,000 to 38,000. Apologies. All right. Patrice McCarthy, Democrat. Matt Hawkins, 37. Pat Sereno, the Republican Party, was defeated by Nick Brown from the Democratic Party, 39, basically 40,000 to 54,000 respectively. James Herrera of the Republican Party and Dave Upthegrove. This one was a little closer. Chris Raykadal and David Olson. This one was quite close, 3% there. A lot of write-in votes, you can see. Patty Cutterer, the Democratic Party, beat Phil for Fortunato. All right. Drew Hansen beat Lance Bird. Tara Simmons beat Kurt Robertson. The Democrat beat the Republican. Now, and for those of you that maybe this is your first time voting because you're turning 18. Maybe this is your first time voting because you were just like, man, I don't vote. Doesn't really make a difference. And it's the first time you're seeing it. And you're seeing what I'm going over here now. You're like, I didn't see this name. I couldn't vote for this person. Yes, that's true. Some of these folks that are up for election have to be in your district. It depends on where you live, right? For instance, Tara Simmons was not in my district, so I couldn't vote for her, even if I wanted to. She would not have been on my list, right? Or if I wanted to vote for Kurt, I couldn't vote for either one of these candidates because they're not in my area, right? Greg Nance or Jamie Miles, right? 35 to 17. Addison Richards. Now this one was close. Look at that. 14,661, 13,427. Now, do you see how close this is? So, I believe there's still, what was that, 20,000 votes to be counted? Let me just, excuse me, scroll up to the top. 26,000 ballots left to count, okay? So, based on that, some of these races could turn. Now, again, if you assume that if the ballots come in and half go for the Republican, half go to the Democrat, then you can add that up and say, hey, you know what? You're not going to make any gains, right? If it was 2-1, for every 3 votes, 2 went to a candidate and 1 went to the other one. You could kind of do the math on that and say, hey, could that person catch up? And in most of these races, no, there's no way. But in this one, Addison Richards and Jesse Young, that could happen, right? This is a difference of only 1,000 votes here. With 26,000 votes out, that's almost half of the votes, right? This could change. So this is too early to call, for sure. Here, Michelle Caldier and Tiffany Mitchell. Too early to call, right? Here again. This is, about 1,600 votes. That's pretty close, right? A write-in, Dan Griffey, Legislative District 35, Position 1. No opponent. Legislative District 35, State Representative, Travis Couture and James DeHart. The Republican is winning that 2-1. Christina Rolfus, Scott Hendon, again. So even if you added 26,000, if you even gave him 26,000, that would put him at 63. And he's not going to get all 26,000 votes. So you would probably assume that one is safe to call, that Christina Rolfus has a big enough lead. She will be our Kitsap Commissioner District 1. For Kitsap District 2, I'm going to spend a little time on this one because it's important. Okay? This has 77,000 votes in here. Again, if you add 29,000 votes, or what was it? 29 or 26? I forgot the number already. 26,000. All right, let's get back down there. 26,000 votes are outstanding. Let's say that everyone could vote. They can't, but, we're just saying it for, to make the point. Oops, I went too far down there. Okay. If you added 26,000 down here, and this is write-in, so this is, like, my name is down here. People have voted for me down here in the write-in, right? So not one person got all of these 3,400 votes. But if you added 26,000 to that, that would be 30,000. The only person that the write-in could beat would be Sean Murphy. See how that is? Now, here's the problem with the Democratic Party. write-ins, the way that it was explained to me from the party, is they have a better chance of having a snowball's chance in hell of winning a write-in. Not that it has never happened, but again, a snowball's chance in hell is what you have. What they did was they put forward a candidate and supported a candidate that was divisive and destructive in this community and was not vetted either by them and or the black community from which this person came. Terrible, horrible, right? Ridiculous. Now, there's two things that happened here. One, it's an affront to many of us in the community, period, regardless of coming out of the black community. It was an affront to many of us in the black community. But at the same time, it also looks bad for the Democrats to put forward somebody who had no chance to win. Had no chance to win. They told him he didn't have a chance to win. His supporters knew he didn't have a chance to win. And they're out there begging on Facebook and in public and talking to folks and doing their little dirt. You know who these people are. Ridiculous. Stupid. And look at where they're at, right? Again, these are all the write-ins. So I know a lot of people were advising folks to write their own name as the write-in. I actually voted for Orrin, as you saw on my Facebook post. Let me see if I can show you that. Boom, boom, boom. I also believe that it is actually a good idea. You Democrats are probably not happy that there's a chance that the Republicans can have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, correct? That pisses you off. Makes you feel very stressed out. You don't know which ones of the things that are important to you might be lost. True story? Yeah, it's a true story. That said, the opposite is also true, right? So if we go here and we look, that's us live here, by the way. Here's Orrin. Now, I like Rob Gelder. He was a former commissioner. I don't really know Kerry Bozeman. Ed Wolf, awesome, right? Just retired as commissioner. And one of our old mayors, Patty Lent, another really awesome person, right? So when I saw these three people specifically on here, right? I trust these three folks for sure. I'm like, okay, they're voting for Orrin. Yeah, I can vote for Orrin, right? And I think to have balance, it's actually a good thing that we don't have one party having a majority. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for democracy. I don't think that's good for balance. Whoops, sorry about that. So I think we need to have some balance there, right? But you had folks that were fear-mongering folks. You want a Republican to win? Oh my God. Like it was just going to be the worst thing ever that a Republican won. During my campaign, there were people that didn't even want me to talk to Republicans. And it's like, why? Why wouldn't I talk to the Republican? Which in a lot of ways is laughable because a lot of the Republicans are their fathers and their mothers and their uncles and their aunties, like their co-workers, their boss. Like, why don't you want to talk to them? So you've demonized. This is coming from the left, right? I know because I hang out with these people. Like, you don't even want me to talk to them? Nah, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to talk to them. But I think balance is important. So again, three things. Didn't vet this candidate in the community. Didn't vet this candidate in the black community. Used him because they wanted blue no matter who, right? I mean, literally, the quintessential epitome of the definition, blue no matter who. We don't care what kind of bottom of the barrel person we can pull. We want to win. And then you saw his folks that supported him champion him, right? Got people who want to vote for him because they felt bad. Like, what? Just craziness, right? Stupidity on all levels. And what this says is the party was willing to use this candidate, regardless of how bad he was for the community, and regardless of, let's say he wasn't bad for the community. They knew he had a snowball's chance in hell to win. But to push him forward just so they had someone to go against the Democrat. You ran your 3 Democrats and you lost. And so they've got some things to deal with, right? They're going to have to take a long look at it. And I get it. The Democratic Party is a big tent, and that's wonderful. But you're going to have to make the call somewhere, right? So in the primary, they had a white woman run. I believe she was white. They had a gay man run, and they had a black man run. So who do they tell? You can't run. We need to try to make sure that we are at least one of the Democrats make it to the general. Instead, they ran all 3, right? Again, big tent, which is great. Now, I might look and say, what other things were missing in that, right? See, our city council here in Bremerton is all white. Our commissioners have 2 white women on there. So you might look at it from that standpoint if you're really looking at diversity for diversity's sake and not diversity of thought and opinion and idea. Then maybe you say, what's missing? What's not being represented? And then maybe you ran the lawyer Matt Macklin based on that. But no, that's not what happened. So they're going to have to deal with that. I mean, that's a tough one, right? Because you don't want to say no to anyone. Everyone should be able to run. And that is ranked choice voting, which is a whole different thing, which would be great, right? Hopefully, folks will advocate for that and we can get there. However, basically, they canceled each other out, and then 2 Republicans ended up in the general, and then it's who do we find as a write-in that we could push forward, right? Now, what the LD 26 did, and shout out to them, mistakes were made, and they really did the right thing, which was the hard thing, and they made it right, and they rescinded their approval for this person to run, right? So I'm hoping that they learn their lesson in that, and going forward, they will be transparent and do a better job of not only vetting their candidates, but not putting and compromising communities, right? Because like AOC told Jill Stein, well, every time you run and you lose, you're doing a disservice to your constituents. But I didn't hear her saying that when the current president, didn't he run like 5 times for president? It was okay when they do it. So that's just one of the things there. Now, let's say that Orrin, and I don't know Orrin, I would assume that what I know about Patty Lent and Ed Wolf and Rob Gelder, Orrin Root is not MAGA. A lot of people don't like that, right, on the left here. That they wouldn't advocate for that. So Orrin would bring some balance to the commissioners. I guess we'll see. All right, couple more. Supreme Court Justice Sal Mungia and Dave Larson, 42 and 39 respectively. Another very close race there. Oh, Steve Gonzalez, unopposed. Cheryl Gordon, unopposed. Rebecca Glasgow, unopposed. North Kitsap School District, proposition number 400. Woo, this is tight. And not all the votes are counted yet. This is super tight. You're talking about less than, about 230, 240 votes there. Public utility, Heather Pauley versus Richard Tift. Looks like Heather Pauley is going to win that. So again, they're going to count again tomorrow, but this is our local Kitsap numbers here. Let's get back to our presidential numbers there. Let's see what we're looking at. Boom. Get over there. All right, 230 to 210. Doesn't look like a lot has changed here. Let's go back into Minnesota. 61% reporting. Too early to call. This one probably won't be called tonight. All right. Oh, poor little computer is frozen there, so I have to wait for that thing to do what it's going to do. All right, come on, computer. I have so many windows open. Wow, really? All right. While it's doing that, let's take a look over here. Looks like someone may have been wanting to jump off a bridge. Looking on Facebook here. Let me see. And I heard what happened, and I was like, no way. So I think that might have been the traffic jam from earlier, about 4 hours ago. So hopefully that person is safe. We don't want anyone to check out and make a permanent decision on a temporary issue. Tomorrow will come, as bad as that may be. It's going to take time to get out of it. It will come. All right, let's see.
Donald Trump has indeed won Georgia, it appears. Let me see.
So they're saying it might be that Donald Trump has won Georgia.
I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, so guys, the states that you see that have lines in them, that means it was a flip. So they've called Georgia.
Flipping Georgia, huh?
Wow.
It's a big deal.
In the chat where people are saying next time don't and I gotta say this. People are saying next time don't disrespect black men. Yeah, because let's be real. Obama, let me bring myself forward. Obama, some of this is on YouTube. That was not a good idea. I even said Obama should apologize for that. I said he should apologize for that. So that was not a good idea. So Donald Trump now is at 246. Wow.
They're saying Donald Trump's at 246.
This is insane. This is insane.
Let me get over here.
Oh my God.
So
you got the map so we can see the counties?
Wow.
What
I
does
found
that
fine
mean?
where they just have it, but this site's kind of terrible.
So
This
on
is
Google, it's still 230 to
crazy.
210 as I was sharing.
But I was right. And Alan
There it is.
Lincoln
All
was
right.
wrong.
CNN calls it.
There it is.
And he would need 40 more to get to
Well, well,
270.
well. Listen, I wonder, people probably melting down. I bet you on Twitter, people are
Nevada would be
melting down.
11,
They're losing their fucking minds.
or Arizona would be 11.
CNN just went to commercials.
Nick, Nick just
And I don't
posted,
think they've
Democrats
called
really thought they
Wisconsin
could
yet.
win by replacing the left with white women. Oh my God. This is okay. So now we go back to the map, and I'll just bring up this little guy.
Yeah, I think we may still be waiting for AP to call it.
You
That's
know
what
what?
that Google
AP
map
is
is
slow.
based on.
Yeah, I don't think
You guys are
everyone has
right.
called
AP
it
is
yet.
slow.
Let's see.
Damn. Seems like I need to be following someone else. Okay, let's go back to. I'll go back to the
They
video.
have
Let's see if
Trump.
they're
I'm
talking
at
about Georgia
MSNBC,
now.
and they have him at 246.
Man, I can't wait to see the pundits' faces tomorrow. And I still have to go. Like, I have a hair appointment tomorrow because
Wow.
I gotta get. All right, we gotta get this. Sammy is dyeing the
This
hair
isn't
back
good.
darker
This
brown.
isn't good.
While we wait for
So a lot of work to
the
do.
video response for Georgia, I want you guys to hear something that Kim Iverson said, and
If
I want you to
it
tell
is,
me if you
it ends
think
up being
she
that
has a point
Trump
with it.
wins and the Democrats um, experience this loss and they have Trump for 4 more years. I mean, the one solace that they have is, you know, clearly, it was my mouse that went to sleep. He can't. He can only run for another 4 years. Here's the good and the bad. The good, he can only run for 4 years, and you have 4 years, well, really 2 years, to address the fact that you have alienated such a big swath of folks. Again, uh, allowing migrants to flood into the country and allowing them to vote is a big one. Being a one issue candidate on, and not really even on women reproductive rights, but really abortion, right? A woman's ability to have abortion. There was no separation between that and, the fact that black women die at massively higher percentages in childbirth than every other demographic of women, right? We didn't talk about any of those things. They didn't talk about that, right? The fact that they demonize men, the fact that they definitely demonize black men, the fact that they don't talk to Hispanic men, white men, Asian men in that way. They didn't talk to all the white women that voted for Republicans in that way, right? You got 2 years to figure that out. The bad thing for the Democratic Party is Trump can't run again. And in 4 years, the Republican Party now has to find a new candidate. And they are probably going to go back to a more traditional candidate on the Republican side. And so if this person is articulate, not polarizing, not triggering, not only are you not going to get the people back that you lost, but you're probably going to lose more people if you double down. And it doesn't matter how many folks you try to let in, and it's just not going to matter. So when they do their autopsy, I really do hope that the Democratic Party looks at this and says, hey, you know what? The United States has spoken. With all that they tried to do to Trump, with all that Trump did to himself, to still be here, to still be here, and if, like Kamala said, you know, you're not going to demonize and you're going to respect the fact that people vote how they want to vote, so you're not going to call them stupid like Biden did. So for those of us that didn't vote for Kamala, if you're not calling us stupid and that we had our reasons to vote, and it wasn't like, oh, I voted for Bill Clinton because he plays a saxophone. Bill Clinton is the first black president. Obama's fine. What good does it do if this person is the first black this or the first woman that, if they're terrible candidates? Who cares if they're first? We have local people talk about how they're first in this and first in that. But if you're a trash person, who gives a damn? It makes no difference. You could be first, you could be 50th. You're trash. You know, I was sitting here with Rod the other day, and I was like, hey man, let's state it now, so we have it on record. Who do you think is gonna win? And I said, you know, as much as I do not want Kamala Harris to win, and you know, I'd love to have that perfect way that Jill Stein can win. Uh, I think Kamala is gonna win, right? Just the way that things have played out. You know, dirty tactics have been done on both sides, but what I saw from the Democratic Party was just a lot dirtier than what I saw from the uh, Republican Party. But I really felt like Kamala was going to win, and there were a lot of unforced errors at the end, having the comic at Madison Square Garden. I mean, there's just things where, you know, MSNBC, you know, trying to say, oh, this is like a Nazi Germany rally, and trying to make those gaslighting folks. It's like people aren't as stupid and gullible as you think they are. And it's insulting that you do that. That should be insulting to the folks that were murdered during Nazi Germany, right? And that's 6 million Jewish people. But if you know the history, there were 6 million other people that were murdered during that time period, that 12-year period. We don't talk about the other 6 million, but yeah, there were 6 million other people that were killed during that time. So how offensive to say that that event mimicked that. You have let some people come in your party, infiltrate, and destroy it. Morning Joe with Krasinski and Joe Scarborough, those people used to be Republicans. And now they're in the Democratic Party, gaslighting, demonizing, saying the most wild, outlandish crap. And your folks are eating that up. And at the same time, you're hardening the hearts of others. So win or lose, and again, it's too early. I'm not going to call this thing. This is MSNBC, by the way. They have Trump at 246 and Kamala at 189, which means that Trump needs 24. And New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, if he won those three, that would give it to him. Pennsylvania, I believe, would darn near give it to him. And then one other state. So if they're calling all of that, Wisconsin and Minnesota, if he gets one or the other here, he's so close. It's ridiculous if this is truly where the numbers end up being. But I won't call anything until it's it's there. But that was from MSNBC, believe it or not, which is like wow, 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 wow. AP I called it gaslighting Black Americans in particular. I'm going to share quite a bit of information out over the next several months. 49 Republicans to net gain. Wow. Wow. Winning back the Senate is a big deal. I mean, this is a referendum all the way. So in 2020, you rest on your laurels, right? There's 4 quarters in a game, y'all. You got to play it all the way out. But if your starter gets hurt and you have someone come off the bench, you need that bench player to be able to do. True story. All right, we're looking at local election here. Look at all that red. And here again, what you're seeing, the initiative, 51% to approve, 48% to reject. The margin is 61,000. Only 51% of the vote has been counted, so too early. Appreciate all you guys watching on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Georgia. Yeah. So in Pennsylvania. So she took the lead, right? Remember, Trump was winning, and now she takes. Wow, they weren't on the ballot. Yep. Minnesota, Missouri. Oh, Missouri could flip blue. That's why it's too early to call, right? And so, if there's a way for Kamala to pull this out, this really has to be a wake up call to the Democratic Party. So, if Democrats pull this out, you really have to pay attention to this because wow, 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 wow. Okay, get back here. Let's see if Fox News will put some numbers up. They're not showing here. And 256. But see, when we were just talking earlier, Missouri is right now in the current count. Kamala has overtaken Trump in Missouri. All right. So, again, too early to call. So while it was red, now they're going to have to flip that back. That's why it's too early to call. Now, what would be amazing is if Trump wins the popular vote and the electoral college. That's decisive. And you can see the House and the Senate. $218 is needed for majority. You can see they're close. And were they looking at flipping New Mexico to red? I don't know about that. But look at that. Look at all of that red. Look at that. Now, there are very, very close to 400 million people in this country. Obviously, some are a good portion of minors, so they can't vote. But as a country, we're not all voting, right? Eight uncalled races. And it looks like they're wanting to flirt with turning New Mexico red. But as I said, when we look over here, whoops. Let's go back to there. Let's go here. Okay. And let's refresh this. Okay. That was refreshed. 246. So here we've got Donald Trump here in Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, Arkansas. I think Kamala is pretty strong here. I don't see that flipping, right? That's good. That's going to be blue. Arizona only has 51% reporting. Way too early to call that, right? And again, that's only by 0.7%. This is truly a toss up. So we're not going to hear anything about that for a minute. And then here again, 18% Nevada. He's got a pretty good lead here, but it's only 18%, right? Now, I believe Alaska might be 3 electoral votes, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? And if that is true, I think that'll take him to 249. I think it's 3. I think it's 3. The AP has called the race in Missouri. Yep, 3 electoral votes. Okay. That's what I thought. So 249, that'll go to Republicans. And he'll need 21. So again, he could do that with Arizona, would be 255. Pennsylvania would take him the rest of the way, honestly. So if he did Nevada and Pennsylvania, he wins. If he does, that's 25 right there. If he does Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, he'll win. So there's a lot of ways for him to still win, right? it's looking like she's gonna have to win out. Kamala Harris is not gonna make a speech tonight. All right, so he's just saying that Kamala is not gonna speech tonight. She's gonna wait till tomorrow. Got to wait for some of these other numbers to come in. Let's see what Sabby's talking about here. Mm, right. I don't think they're gonna keep going any further on this for tonight. I think that might be it. See what they're talking about. It's a local election here. This is TYT. TYT.
Yeah, no, just under 50,000. So that race is not called, and there's still a lot of
That's
vote counting
doing
to
what I
happen in the
want.
state of Wisconsin. I think they're only
They're
counted at
doing what I want.
55% at the moment, and that's yeah, and or is that yeah at
TYT.
55%. So I wouldn't think that that's going to
Man,
get
wow.
called anytime
Wow, wow,
soon. But
wow. I
again,
mean, what
she
can you
could be
say? What
a
can you say,
casualty
man?
of an underperforming top of ticket there in
That
that race. Again, it's not going to matter for control of
wow.
the Senate, but certainly it's going to matter for the number of people that are going to be on different committees, the ratio of
I think that's doing what
Republicans
I
to
want.
Democrats on the committees there, and you know the Democrats, the Republicans are going to have a spirited election to see who is the majority leader of the House, and
Go
there's
back
some
and check
names that
this
are
real
going
quick.
to scare a lot of people that are
Let me
going to
do this
run.
real
Rick
quick,
Scott
like
is one of
y'all.
them, and Rick Scott is I would say one of the
Well,
favorites to be the
you know, it's
majority
been
leader in
pretty
the
fun
Senate. We're going to
covering
learn a
this.
whole lot more about Rick Scott, who
We'll definitely
is a
say that.
master politician at this point. You'd have to say he's played that game
Oh,
really
there we go.
well down
Okay.
there, despite the fact that he was so corrupt
I
coming
have to put
in.
this on.
He's been able to win, or maybe because of the fact, but he's been able to win as governor. He's been able to win a couple of times as senator now, and done very well. He won by
TYT.
13% over. Debbie McCarcel Powell was a fine candidate, but not a great candidate there. She lost a House race there a couple of years ago after having won it. So again, Wisconsin out still, and we're not sure when it's going to be called either on the presidential or the Senate side. There, one other note, we talked about how Angela also Brooks and Lisa Blunt Rochester, two women, two African American women going to the Senate. There will be two African American women in the Senate for the first time ever. The first Korean American, Andy Kim from
Two
New
African
Jersey,
American women in the
is going to
Senate
the
for the
Senate.
first time ever,
You
and a
know, so
Korean woman.
that's notable. The first Korean
Awesome.
American to be in the Senate there, and you know, the beat goes on here.
And the beat goes on. Mm-hmm. Let's check back in with Savvy here. All right, girl, tell us what's happening. Computer is using all its low power tonight. I can't take anymore. I need more
to
dilithium
support
crystals.
genocide, and there's still a strong chance we're gonna get Trump anyway. Okay, like, can you imagine sacrificing your reputation only for us to still end up with Donald Trump? Couldn't be
But
me.
but you know what, Nick? We warned them.
Yep.
We warned them that you can't be moving to the right. You trying to get progressive policies, but you moving to the right, right? Because you feel like we got to follow like party leadership. If you look at the numbers, if you guys look at these numbers, this is very telling. The country is moving in a different direction. This is the total number of votes, right? Jill Stein right now has over 531,000 votes.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, in 2016, I think she got to maybe a million. I have to go back and check. I know she got over 50,000 in Michigan alone in 2016. RFK Jr., who dropped out,
Oh shit.
has over 520,000 votes.
Yeah.
So if you add their two totals together, we're talking about over 1 million votes. This is showing people the country is moving in a different direction. Why do people think Donald Trump has increased his support with Latino voters? He had more support with Latino voters than Kamala Harris. Why do you guys think he's getting more support from African Americans? There is a realignment that is happening, and we've been warning people about that this was coming.
Yep. The Democratic Party was currently going through an experiment. They were trying to.
Well, and that's the echo chamber, right? If you get caught up in your echo chamber and you only talk to people that, you know, have those interests that you have and you're just hearing the same thing, you're not going to hear anything different. And then when other folks come and say, hey, we don't think like you and we have our own issues and needs and whatnot, and you're like, nope, just shut up and vote, you know? And then you demonize us and say that we're misogynists or we have self-hatred for our own blackness. Your mama's black, you know. What other demographic of people were demonized? Your mama's black. Oh, I don't know why these black men won't vote for Kamala. They're just misogynists and they won't vote for a black woman. And again, historically, and even now, it's probably still going to bear out that black men are the second highest voting bloc after black women voting for the Democratic Party. But you attacked us and you demonized us. And for 3 years, you sexualized our vote. No voting, no vucking. Pop the balloon. Oh, he's 6'6", he makes $100,000 a year, good looking brother, this and that, and then, oh, he's not gonna vote, and all the black women pop their balloon. Right? Sexual access. It's so offensive, it's ridiculous. And we talked about it last year or last election and the election before. Because the last year it was stripper poles. Women don't give your black men any sex if they don't go and vote. And you know, it wasn't a thing of, oh, you didn't care whether or not we voted, just voted. We had to vote blue, right? When I go over the autopsy on the Democratic Party over the next coming months, I refrained, right? I had all these um, podcasts that I was going to do and show you all the millennials who felt disenfranchised, black men and black women that were like, we're not voting for the Democratic Party. We're not voting for Kamala. We don't see it the way that you see it. And watching the Democrats say, oh, no, you know, black young men and black young women, this is what they see and this is how it is. And it's like, wait a minute. I could show you 24 channels of young black men and young black women that are like, I'm not voting for Kamala. I don't like what she stands for. I don't like this. I don't like that. A, B, Z, X, Y, Z. But you couldn't hear it. You wouldn't hear it. I was like, I could broadcast this stuff out now. I was like, no, I just need to wait. I need to wait. The majority of the people in the country now are independent. And as Savvy was saying, 500,000 for RFK, 500,000 for Jill Stein. If we decided if the blue no matter who's were able to break their fever and say, you know what, we're actually going to start voting our interests. You're actually going to give us something like you give every other group for something for their vote, and we're going to vote independent, then both the Democrats and the Republicans would be on notice. And we can actually make the change that we want to see. So, for someone like us, for the black male voters, those of us that are foundational black Americans, are like, hey, we feel that we are due reparations. Well, which party agrees with that? Neither, actually. Which party agrees with Second Amendment rights? I think by and large, it is a beyond a fundamental right that black people have firearms to protect themselves. The left doesn't believe in that. And they do everything that they can to ensure that folks can't have firearms. And you say, oh, it's sensible gun control and this and that and whatnot. So what do? We want Black history, American history, these things to be taught. We want to see our education increase so that our boys aren't suffering illiteracy rates that are abysmal in 2024. We want to see that more than 11% home ownership in the next 15, 20 years in Kitsap County isn't the plight of black Americans in this county. Whose side do we support in there, Democrats or Republicans? And if you say, oh, well, it's the Democrats. Well, the Democrats have been in power for how long? We've had the Tara Simmons and the Emily Randalls and the name them and name them and name them, and they've been incumbents. What's changed? And saying, well, the other side ain't going to do nothing for you. That doesn't work anymore. You know, when you talk to most black people and you ask us, which type of racism do we prefer? The racism that's in your face when it's like, yeah, I know that you don't like me, or the one where you smile in my face but you stab me in the back. If you ask us individually, we're going to tell you we'd rather just be straight up in our face so at least we know where we stand. So we might get that with the Republican Party, many for sure. But we get the exact same thing in the opposite from the Democratic Party, where you tell us, oh, yeah, you're right. This is wrong. These rights, we need restorative justice. We need this, that, and the other. And then nothing ever changes. And it either remains white, or if it's BIPOC or black, if they're not lockstep towing that Democratic line hardcore and rejecting our interests, you can't sit at the table. But it makes it sound good, right? It's existential. It's existential. But you have folks saying, hey, when Trump was in office, the dollar went a little bit further. And you just said racism, racism, racism. Well, racism is on both sides. Racism, racism, racism. It's going to destroy the country. This isn't on the voters. This is on the Democratic Party. When Trump was elected the first time, it's because you put Hillary Clinton forward. Terrible candidate. Warmonger. And it just so happened that he was able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. That wasn't supposed to happen, right? Maybe 1 was supposed to happen during that 4 years. But lightning struck twice and he ended up getting 3. And who knows what happens this time around if this holds up and he wins. Does he get another one? And at the end of the day, the only people that you can blame is yourself. Now, does everyone in the country suffer if it is a loaded Supreme Court? Sure. If it was the other way, would you be trying to expand the Supreme Court? Oh, we need to expand it from whatever it is now. What is it, 7, 9? Let's make it 17 so we can get some balance in there, get the numbers back into balance. See, when the rabbit has the gun, it ain't no fun. You just really thought that you could just keep on, keep on, keep on, keeping on. But see, the first thing that the Democrats want to do is retain their power. We're going to retain power at all costs. So one of the questions that I ask the candidates is, what would it take for you to step down? Would the people have to say, you know what, you're not effective. We need someone else. Even if that meant that that seat was lost to the other side for a term. And they're not willing to do that. Matter of fact, most will cheat, lie, and steal to ensure that they keep their seat. That you can't even recognize them as people, folks that you respected in the past. Like, what happened to that person? And they tell you, well, it's politics, you just don't understand. No, you went in and you got caught up and chewed up by the machine, and now you've been spit back out. And it's more important for you to hold on to your seat, to hold on to your power. Can't imagine what you would do without that power, without that position. What would my job be after that? I got to go to work. I won't have that influence, the fame, the notoriety. So what do? Instead of having the respect of the people, insulating yourself with just a certain demographic of folk to ensure. Lie, cheat, compromise. And I don't mean compromise in a good way. And I'm not talking about changing positions, because people change positions with new information all the time. But there's a difference between changing positions and flip-flopping. It's a hell of a night, boy. Wow. But we'll see what happens. It's early. This is what it looked like 4 years ago, and we woke up, and then Biden won, right? But if he wins not only the popular vote, but the electoral, but what's so funny is both sides say this, which is ridiculous. So what happens if he does win? I guess there's a lot of people that were here in Kitsap. I was in a room somewhere, and some woman was talking about how she was going to be moving if Trump won again. That's hyperbole.
Kamala was jamming to Tupac in the early 80s.
Wait, there's a battleground alert. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Let's tune in.
Oh, this just came up. Sorry.
Let's take a look at Pennsylvania. Ground state, maybe the most important. Donald Trump with a narrow lead there. That is still too close to call. 93% of the vote in Pennsylvania. This is what it looks like in Michigan right now. Trump out with a lead over Kamala Harris and a 225,000 vote difference. 67% of the vote in. That's too close to call. Wisconsin, another key battleground state in play. Too close to call there. 89% of the vote is in there. And we can show you Nevada with its 6 electoral votes. Too close to call. 37,000 vote difference. Minnesota, it is Kamala Harris leading, but that is characterized by our decision desk as too close to call. 85,000 vote difference in Minnesota. Tom,
Yep. Fox News is calling Pennsylvania. It's called Pennsylvania for Trump.
Can you put it up, Eric?
I don't know if we have Fox.
Let me just pause there for a second. Now, Sabby has a lot of mainstream pundits that you see on different shows come on to her show and speak. She's not she's quite known in political spaces. And it's the black woman laughing, right, at the Democrats. This isn't black men. Let me unpause this.
Oh, damn. Is it on video? Danny, how you
What's popping, Danny?
Poor Lester. Somebody look out for Lester.
Man.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's all going to start. The House of Cards is coming down now, so it's all going to.
So she can't, because let's say she wins. Well, she behind in all the blue wall states.
That's what I've been seeing. It's like, it's really over.
Yeah,
it's really kind of silly for them to take this long.
So much for I'm speaking.
Yeah, I'm speaking. That's gonna haunt her for some time. That's definitely gonna. And then having Bill Clinton go to Michigan and spew unhinged, racist, Zionist propaganda, great decision. And then you have Liz Cheney, who got blown out in a GOP primary.
Hey, that's the big one.
Points.
Liz
So
Cheney.
you pick the person who got
to saddle up next to a warmonger in the Cheney family was just, what the hell? A lot of us are like, what are you doing? I mean, you would do that. That's what compromising your morals and compromising your ethics is all about. That's it, right? I want to win so bad, I will take anyone who supports me. This is what happened locally. I want to win so bad. Let's go ahead and push this write-in through. And it wasn't so much that it was a write-in, it was the person they chose. That's how bad we want to win. Blue, no matter who. And you saw the desperate folks all over Facebook and everywhere else demonizing folks. Oh, you wasted your vote. Oh my God, I taught diversity class, all this other stuff. This is ridiculous. You have compromised yourself. Now you can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. So for her to do that, remember when she was running for president 4 years back during the Democratic primary, right? She was calling Joe Biden racist and this and that and whatnot. And then he calls her, I want you to be my VP. Oh, I love Joe. Oh, I love Joe. You're a liar. But you wanted it so bad, or people convinced you, well, you know what? You go in as the vice president and you can make change and you can do some things, right? So then, okay, people accept that, right? Pastor actually told me that you got to make the change on the inside. So that's probably what she thought, you know, based on what people told her, right? I'm giving her grace here. Let's assume. Then she gets in. She doesn't really do anything that we can see, aside from tell us, I ain't going to do nothing for just black people. We haven't forgotten any of that. And then when it comes time to run, it's like, oh, well, she's the VP and the VP doesn't do anything. So then why saddle up to a races if you couldn't do anything at all? So was it to be the first? So you were the first this, you were the first that. Congratulations. What did it do? And the Democrats knew she was the first one to drop out. She got 0 votes. She was terrible 4 years ago running for president. That has not changed. So much so that as bad as Trump is on paper, what he's done, what the Democrats have set him up to do, because there's 2 sides to that, that the country electorally and from a popular standpoint are like, hell no. And not only are we going to take Trump, the felon, and everything else, or I thought it was supposed to be justice impacted. Oh, sorry, my camera is tripping out. You know, we're supposed to say justice impacted, right? But now we can go back to calling people felons because we'll say and do anything to win. So then that undoes all of the hardships that Black Americans, which you talk about, right? Because that's a big one, restorative justice. And if you served your time, then, you know, it's what you did, it's not what you are. Don't call them felons. They're not convicted felons. They're justice impacted. But as soon as it suited you, Democrats, oh, he's a felon. We can't have a felon. Wow, really? Folks are watching it. The youth are watching it. The millennials that have this apathy, they see it. When we go and we look at the autopsy of who voted and what percentages. And again, I'm going to show you the videos of young Black men and young Black women and others that are like, nah, I'm good with the Democratic Party. But once you start lying and cheating and compromising everything, you win for a little bit. You'll win for a little bit. And if you really believe that it was existential that he not win and that he is going to do tremendous damage if he won, because again, the conversation was never that he was going to win, plus the House and the Senate would swing over to him as well. Then why would you play it that way? You could have been honest. You could have answered questions. You could have been about actual policy, not trying to trick us and say, oh, we've got a black policy. And then when you get called out on it, it's like, oh, no. It's blacks and others. So it's the same thing. It's everybody. Like we're stupid. You keep playing us for suckers. Wow.
Blown out in the primary, and you're gonna make her the face of the campaign, and you guys are shocked that this happened.
Oh wow!
And I want to make
what I said.
I want to make a point about people not voting down ballot because, and for people who are not aware, so like in my state, in Massachusetts, in North Carolina, I'm gonna use these as two examples. One of the things I heard on Breaking Points is that they said, well, I think that Kamala is going to win North Carolina because the Democrat gubernatorial candidate is in the lead. And he was in the lead in like every poll, right? But what people may not realize as well is that just because somebody votes Democrat for the gubernatorial race doesn't mean they're going to vote Democrat for the presidential race. Massachusetts does this as well. Like when we had Governor Charlie Baker as our governor, Charlie Baker was a Republican. A lot of people would skip over this because Massachusetts is a blue state, but we had a Republican governor. So Massachusetts went to Hillary Clinton and Massachusetts went to Joe Biden. But when it came to the gubernatorial race, we chose Charlie Baker, who's the Republican. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like when I heard that analysis earlier, I was trying to make that clear to people that just because somebody is voting one way for the governor or for a congressional race, that doesn't mean they're going to vote that same way for the presidential race. And people got to understand that. You might see this somewhat in Missouri too, like because there's parts of Missouri that have Cori Bush's seat was blue.
Yeah, sadly, right now, Democrats are complaining because they like, how could the abortion ballot initiative win? Meanwhile, you guys support a governor who don't support abortion because we don't like your genocidal ass. And you see these same liberals, they say, how can you guys support an increased minimum wage, but you support Republicans? No, like those people like me I voted green on ballot and I voted for the ballot initiative. Like I said, I will always do. And what does that say about the Democratic Party that they're so unappealing that people waiting these long ass lines to vote for some Democrats, but they're not going to vote for the top of the ticket? Dire and this is glorious because there's going to be so many valuable lessons that we're gonna slap the liberal class with these lessons because they have no one to blame but themselves for what's happening right now.
All right, let me stop it there. Check in on our local news here.
Also called the U.S. Senate race for Maria Cantwell, who was being challenged by Republican candidate Raul Garcia. Cantwell has 60% of the vote counted tonight. This would be her 5th term in that seat. A rematch tonight in Washington's Congressional District 3. This one covers the southwestern part of the state. Democratic incumbent Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez is running against Joe Kent, who she also faced off against in 2022. That was a very close race a few years ago. She is leading tonight with 52% of the vote. Kent has 48 right now.
Washington's Congressional District 5, an open seat for the first time in 20 years. We want to give you the latest numbers. Republican Michael Baumgardner has 60% of the vote tonight. Democrat Carmela Conroy has 40% of the vote. Meantime, Democratic incumbent Kim Schreier seeking her 4th term in District 8. At this point, with 62% of the vote in, she has 54% of the vote. Republican Carmen Goers has 46.
As we take a look at those local results, and we talked about the national results, a good night for Republicans nationally, not necessarily the case here in the state of Washington. Let's go to King 5's Drew Mickelson live for us in Bellevue at a Republican watch party. Drew.
She had that affliction in 2020.
Well, the Republicans who were rooting for some of those statewide races didn't have a lot to celebrate, but the party continues here for the Republican Party at the Bellevue Hyatt. They are waiting now for President Trump, who is expected to perhaps speak soon. They were just letting people know that they only have this room until 11 o'clock, and folks may have to find another place to celebrate, but I think you're going to have a hard time tearing some of these folks away from the TV if the former president does come forward to make a speech. The biggest cheers of the night have been for the presidential race. A lot of folks came here hoping that candidates like Dave Reichert were going to change state history and get a Republican back in the governor's mansion. That, at least here after the initial results, does not look like it's going to happen, although Dave Reichert told the crowd not to give up hope. There's still hundreds of thousands of votes left. But these folks seem to have moved on from the state races, and right now they are just waiting to see what happens on the national race. So as long as they're here, I think we'll be here as well. Back to you.
And you wouldn't tell those folks that they wasted their vote, right? They came out, they did the work, they fought. They didn't win in the state of Washington, but you know where they won? They're going to win the presidency. They're going to flip the Senate. They're going to flip the House. And although you didn't do it locally, you win it overall. And so, especially black men, please don't let them tell you anymore that your vote doesn't count. Don't tell yourself that your vote doesn't count, that it doesn't mean anything, that I'm in the state of Washington and it's electorally, my vote just goes down the drain. Like I said, I voted for Jill Stein. I would have voted for Trump before Kamala. That is for sure, right? If there was no Jill Stein, I would have voted for Trump. And so looking at that, you see the change that can happen, right? Somehow you got to shake it up. And so sitting on the couch is a strategy. And it's your vote. So you've got the right to do and vote for whoever you want to or whoever you don't want to. But the best way to make a party wake up is to take them out of power. And then hope that they learn their lesson and they fix what it is that they were doing wrong. And if they don't, then you go the other way again. Or third party, third party, third party. My hope is third party, third party, third party. And we can do that. I believe the Republican Party was a third party. Historically. So don't let them tell you it can't be done. Right? We're America. We're exceptional. There's nothing we can't do, right? Let's see what these guys have to say. This is the Young Turks here. Again, fair use all night long. All night long, all night. All night.
Party inside of a House race. I don't think that's what swayed all of this, but there's the power of incumbency too. And if you are a Democrat in New York and you're out voting against Donald Trump, you're going to come out and you're going to vote against that Republican who you weren't so interested in, whose election you weren't interested in 2022. You didn't come out and vote in 2022.
Wow.
And so I think that can explain a little bit of it. Is that, you know, it's a presidential election that brings out a lot of partisans.
He's literally saying just what I said.
You know, you might be a likely voter, but you're not a regular voter, and you didn't vote in a midterm election. Now you're back, and you're gonna, you know, those people that picked up House seats in 22, they're gonna lose them now.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's see how it winds up at the end, and then
he's saying
we'll figure
exactly
out
what I just said.
and we'll dive into the numbers and the trends to see what could possibly explain it. I'm going to read a couple of super chats here because I think.
And
irrelevant, and then we'll transition, like I said, to the next.
Look how flat they are. If your vote didn't count, why do they try so hard to either demonize you, to tell you that it's a waste of time, to tell you that it's existential, to tell you that your mama's black, to tell you that you're being misogynist, to tell you that you're being anti-black or racist if your vote didn't count? You know the saying, thou protest too much. They know it counts. They know it counts. Imagine what we can do as a voting bloc. Imagine, look at what we've done. Hopefully now, folks will be looking at the black male political agenda, because we're going to be pushing that over the next 2 to 4 years. And for those incumbents that won, if that's not something that you want to hear, we'll be working on making sure that not only do we not vote for you, but others also do not vote for you. So you're on notice now. You won, you got reelected. Hallelujah for you. Congratulations. But we're coming with our demands. And if you shut us out, you don't want to hear it, you tell us some bullshit on how it's not your job to do, you don't do that at your level, someone else needs to bring it forward.
4 years. Sean Umpleby says, keep it a great.
Because that's not for you to do. That's a black thing. So you're not black, so you can't bring that forward. But most of the electorate is not black, so you have to bring it forward for us. Stop pissing on us and tell us that it's raining.
Great work, guys. Keep the faith. Let's go Steelers. Steel Dragon from the Berg. Love that. Robert Chicago says, I'm a Trump supporter and voted for him 3 times, but I've been listening to you all for 15 plus years.
Wow.
I listen to many, many shows. I enjoy your broadcasts as well.
I mean, look, I got to be honest. A Trump supporter continuing to watch us throughout 15 years. Like, we've had some years where we were not friendly at all to Trump supporters. No generosity, no charity.
So bless your heart, man.
Yeah.
Way to have an open mind. So that's what we want to hear. So appreciate that. History Speaks is a conservative listener that we've had for a while, and viewer, but he agrees with us on Gaza and he agrees with us on a number of things. And he wrote in Trump, who's routinely called a Nazi by white liberals, apparently won an outright majority of the Hispanic male vote and the highest percentage of Hispanics ever by Republicans, higher than Nixon in 72, Reagan in 84, and Bush in 88. So
Woo!
That is that. If that's accurate, and it's probably, if it's not, it's very close, right?
Woo!
So anytime I read these things, if I haven't confirmed it, I just tell you a grain of salt on the exact numbers. But we've got to reckon with that. We can't just say like, oh, that they were wrong. They were bad. Now they're racist too.
So I wonder what the Democratic Party is going to do. Is Obama and black women, black feminists and others going to demonize the Hispanic community the way that they demonize black men? Or you probably wouldn't dare, right? See, people typically punch down. That's how you know the power structure.
Or whatever, right? No, we have to reckon with the fact that the Democratic Party did not deliver. It didn't. And so now this is a big, giant, controversial topic, and
Shouldn't
and
be.
I'm sure I'll get a million people yelling at me from mainstream media, Democrats, et cetera, et cetera. But I told you guys he didn't pass much, and everybody said Biden is FDR 2.0. and it was amazing all the things that he passed. Well, why didn't you run on it? Why didn't it work? Well, if he was FDR 2.0, FDR said, hey, I passed Social Security, won re-election 3 times. Easy. Okay? Of course, there was other factors as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's too early, I think, to even know this stuff, right? Did Gaza matter? Did abortion matter? Did Tony Hinchcliffe matter? I don't know. This didn't seem like an election that was won or fought on issues. It was fought on, I think it was about one person. And that one person looks like he's going to win tonight. And if he had lost, it wouldn't have been because Kamala Harris came up with much sort of better policy positions or ran on any kind of record. Didn't even say infrastructure. You know,
She had no policy.
Let's talk about something that did happen, right? Infrastructure happened. Didn't say that very much. And so this was an election about one thing, and it was an election about Donald Trump. And it looks like Donald Trump's going to win the election about Donald Trump.
I think it was a mistake to think that this election is only about Donald Trump. I think Democrats have been making that mistake over and over and over again.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what it ended up being, though, right? This was not like, prove me wrong, right? Maybe Gaza switched a lot of people. Maybe abortion did switch a lot of people.
Saying the same thing, guys.
Yeah.
Which is that the Democrats should actually get something accomplished and run on it instead of just running about Donald Trump.
We're not saying the same thing then, because I don't think that they're
making Americans complicit on mass murder, can definitely turn people off, right? Definitely turn people off. No, it definitely turned me off. Fox News there. Look like they have anything updated. I need to refresh that. In fact, let me go ahead and refresh it. You know what? Interesting enough, we haven't looked at Fox News most of the night. I wanted to try to make sure we had a balance of different folks. That's why I went with the Young Turks. That's why I went with Breaking Points. Went with SAB. Went with Fox News. I had MSNBC up. Had Google up. Just wanted to make sure that we kind of had a wide range of political pundits speaking. Let's see. I don't know what was on that channel there. And this is, I think that one is SAB there. So we're refreshing all the results here. You know, our local news, right? I wanted to capture a little bit of everything, just so you have an idea, and hopefully to break some of us out of the echo chamber, right? And you know you're in a chamber. Let me just go ahead and mute this. You know you're in an echo chamber when, you know, you go to an NAACP event and you see all the same faces. You go to another event, you see all the same faces. No one is ever different. You go to a commerce event, you see all the same faces, right? And it's a proverbial circle jerk. It happens on the left and it happens on the right. And so as long as that's what it is, nothing ever changes. And then when it comes, there's the gnashing of teeth. Oh my God. How could this have happened? This man is going to win the popular vote. How? Let's see what Fox is talking about.
And just let our viewers know, you as well in Austin, because we have been at this all day today. So this is really stunning news here. I'd like to hear thoughts from both of you. Austin, of course, because you've been here for hours on end. Yeah. And Richard, you as well.
Well, you know, and I think these images are telling from the Trump campaign party. We're starting to see the celebrations. We're starting to see the typical behavior we see whenever a candidate wins the big one. And as we've said, Fox News has called this thing in favor of former President Trump.
All right, so Fox has called it. All right.
This is just a reminder from David. David said Butch called it with those polls on your show. Remember what
Go ahead and refresh there.
Advice.
Why the Democrats?
But this is what they're showing right now.
Here we go.
And it says, so for Kamala, white men 24%, white women 31%. Black, oh, you mean Roe didn't sell too well? See, this is the other thing.
We try to tell them, Sabi.
Not running on core economic issues. Black men was 81% for all the people who pointed fingers and said, "You brothers." Black women.
And that's bad because if we got to be honest here, apparently that tactic worked. Because they do it every election. Every election they do this shit. They did this in 2020, 2016.
I said
and
that
then
earlier.
Black people fall for it. They get shamed by liberals and they vote for it. It's sad.
That earlier.
Well, Fox has called it for Trump.
Well, what happened to the other states though?
Hold on, I'm gonna go back to this.
What I would say,
let's pull this chart up. We need to talk about this.
Yes, of course.
They did this in 2020.
Let me go ahead and pause that. Right. So, again, Obama, feminist black women, D.L. Hughley, who's the comic with the mustache. So many people have demonized us. And look at what we voted. Black women were 90%. Then it was black men at 81%. But you talk down to us like we were some children, like we were little pieces of shit. Your mama's black. You're a misogynist. You don't want to see a black woman president. You don't want to see a woman president. 81%. Let's look at white men here. 24%. 24, 81. You don't say shit to white men. Let's look at Latino men. 53%. 81, 53. You don't say shit to Latino men. Like she said, is it abortion? Was that the main issue? Women's reproductive rights? 31% of women. 81 of white women. 31% of white women. 81% black men. 50 percentage points higher. But we're the misogynist pieces of shit. Latino women, 59% to 81%. Is that 22 points? So we voted for Kamala, a female president, at higher rates than either other demographics of women voted. But you talk shit to us. You talk down to us. And then you don't even represent our interests. This is that bullshit. All other races, 42%. Black men, 81%. 39 percentage points. Black women outvoted us by 9% for the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris. Even with all the bullshit, she's not black. We won't vote for a black woman. We're misogynists. We can't be led by a woman. You talk about taking our vote for granted. Most people would kill to have loyalty like that. And you wonder how there are Larry Elders and Candace Owens of the world. Because those of us that just keep on voting blue no matter who, we the fools. We are the fools. All over national news. Black men this, black men that. How dare they? They're sexist. They hate themselves. Self-hate. How offensive. How disgusting. What do you need to say to your white women that voted at 69% for Trump? What do you need to say that almost half of Latino men voted for Trump? Immigration aside, what do you have to say that 40% of Latino women voted for Trump? Immigration aside, what do you have to say that 55% of everyone else, Asians, yada, 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 voted for Trump? Black men and black women voted for Kamala at almost twice the rate of Hispanic men and women. But black men, black women, Hispanic men, and Hispanic women were the only ones that voted for Kamala at above 50%. And Latino men barely. But we're still underrepresented. Whether it's city council, whether it's commissioner, whether it's governor, state representative, right? It's not Shannon's time. He's not a strong enough candidate yet. Just pat your head. You keep on voting. We'll get there. Right now it's existential. We just can't right now. No, you're not a good candidate. You're not strong enough. No, you don't know. No, you don't know enough. You don't understand how things go. Just vote and we'll. You understand that, or maybe you don't. But I believe I was looking at some stats. I have to check on this, but typically the older people get, the more conservative they get. 1. 2, the Hispanic community, because of their religious ties, tend to be more conservative. 3, that immigrants that come to this country may start off as Democrats, but switch over to being conservative and Republicans because, again, of their culture and religion and whatnot. And so while the Democratic Party is saying that they are waiting for toxic white males and racist women to die off, you think that it's really going to change? I don't think so. I don't think so. And what does that say when you talk about the patriarchy and toxic male, whatever the hell y'all be talking about? 24% of white men, 31% of white women, only 7 percentage points different when it comes to voting for Kamala. Matter of fact, it's even less when you look at voting for Trump. 69% and 74%. So only 5 percentage points, right? Well, they say it's almost within the margin of error. That doesn't count in this regard, but black men and black women, 16 and 8%, right? We're a difference of 8%. 16 and 8. Latino men, Latino women, 45 and 40%, a difference of 5%. The Latino community, half pretty much is Republican, half is Democratic. But it's interesting that you talked about the patriarchy and how toxic it is. And old toxic white men, when white women are only 5 percentage points different. And the second lowest voting for Kamala. But black men are the pieces of shit. The misogynist piece of shit. Sorry for my language before. Pretty much this entire year, the vitriol has been ramped up on black men, in particularly foundational heterosexual black men. And we have been demonized in every way possible. Outside our race, inside our race, by our women and by other men. That's why the League of Black Male Voters exists. Let's get back in here and hear what they have to say.
2016, and then black people fall for it. They get shamed by the liberals and they vote for it. It's sad.
So Fox has called it for Trump.
Well, what happened to the other states though?
I'm just saying that's what I'm seeing on my screen right now. I think they're the only ones. But
want
me to bring it up?
Well, I wanted to see like what happened to the other states. Where is are these other states been called in yet? That's what I was trying to say.
Fox's news right now is Trump elected 47th president.
I'm telling y'all, bro, that Zelensky curse is real. The Zelensky curse. I just tweeted a picture of Kamala shaking hands with Zelensky. It's like all these Western leaders, bro, got taken out by NATO. I'm not gonna sit here and say that's a direct correlation, but it's fucking hilarious. Every single and in the beginning of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, I know you remember this too, Savvy. They were saying the Ukraine war will be the end of Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, how many Western leaders have fallen since then? Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin has a stronger position than ever. You know I'm a geopolitics nerd, so I can't help but notice that. But go ahead, Savvy. You can present this. I know you got a lot to say.
I haven't seen anybody else call. Well, I do want to see if anybody else called it as well. But what happened to? Did they call in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania? That's what I'm trying to figure out because I didn't see if they called it just yet.
That too. I mean, Fox is
yeah. I mean, you've got the different. Each news organization can make their own can make their own call,
which is
and
dangerous.
so
They shouldn't.
I
It's
think
too
they
early.
just saw where this is going and wanted to be first, and
they should wait.
Yeah, you guys are right, because AP is very slow. Let's see what CBS News, if they already did it. Nope. CBS News has absolutely nothing on their site. Their site is just
you already know that Washington Post, MSNBC, they popping champagne in the background, fam. Like MSNBC, they having their on-screen meltdown, but bro, the media execs are
good
so
times
hyped.
back.
Yep, good times back, bro. All the people who got laid off.
And he's saying that because they have 4 more years to talk Trump, right? And build their viewership up. So I hope, again, the Democratic Party learns from this. And instead of doubling down, he can't run again. So you're going to get probably a sensible Republican that's more grounded. And if you try this 4 years from now, you're definitely going to lose. You're definitely going to lose. And I just said this, a week ago? You know, the Democratic Party has taken for granted. You saw the stats on black male and black female votes. There were a time when we were Republicans. And the Civil Rights Act, what did he say? Can't remember who said it. I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for 100 years. See, the thing is there was a time when we were Republicans. And Democrats somehow have it in their head that there's no way that we could ever switch back or go to a third party. The hubris in that. In what world could you see Trump winning? You had Fannie Willis visiting Kamala Harris in the White House, right? It's on record. To charge Trump in Atlanta. To get him convicted as a felon. Hearsay. Most of us are like, we're looking at the stuff that you charged him with as trumping up charges. And with all of that, not only the electoral, but the popular vote from your Hispanic male community, from your Hispanic female community, from your Asian male community, from your Asian female community, from your white female community, women's reproductive rights, abortion. See, the only way to win the popular vote is women. They vote at a higher percentage than men do. What does that say? Honestly. Objectively. And these black churches, man. How disappointing. Watch you parade Kamala Harris into your church. Parade guest speakers into the church. This happened nationally and locally. Giving all the rah-rah, telling black folks to vote against their interest another year on antiquated arguments. And the thing is that there is a divide, and there is a class divide, even in the black community. And a lot of that is your black retirees, your elderly folks, your older, your boomers and your older Gen X. right? They're secure. They're good. Most of them. The ones that vote. The ones that are going to church, paying their tithes and their offering. So they do the blue no matter who, right? They fought their fight. But your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, they're suffering. They can't buy the homes. They can't feed their family. They can't afford to have kids. They're being told to wait and have geriatric pregnancies. They're being told not to have kids and get to the point where our replacement rate isn't at 2.1. We're told, oh, you could do bad by yourself. You don't need a man. You don't need a traditional family structure. But at the same time, talk some dumb shit about growing generational wealth. Like individuals are growing generational wealth. It's a trick bag. And the main ones talking it go home to their spouses, whether they're black or outside. And a lot of it is outside. Teaching some bullshit financial literacy topics, knowing that you get enriched, but you know that them people ain't gonna do nothing with it. They can't do anything with it. You've told us to compromise our needs over and over again to champion everyone else's needs. That if we go along and build these coalitions, that we'll all rise together. But what we see is every demographic in this county will have better home ownership percentages than the black community. And somehow we still get left behind. But I watch a lot of our black leaders here running nonprofits damn near dead, in and out of hospitals, suffering from exhaustion, doing the work, not just for the people in their own community, for everyone that comes through their door. Most don't take vacations. Most are working 16-hour days. And when they're gone, they're gone. Will we see a permanent storehouse? Hell, we just lost Quincy. We just lost Mr. Roosevelt Smith. Do we have a black museum? Do we have a place for our curated artifacts, our history? Or is it still stored in a closet or in Tacoma? Is the Q Square just a painted mural? Oh, nice and colorful. That's all you'll know. But will any wealth or capital, revenue be generated that goes into the pockets of black Americans from Quincy Square? Or will you look up and the decision makers are all white or majority white, and those that benefit from it, by and large, it's the same thing. And now Quincy ain't even here to weigh in on it, even if he could.
They come like, hey, y'all, we're gonna need you back. You know that Trump, the anti-Trump column you did? We need some more anti-Trump. Bro, this is, trust me, man, liberals, this is exactly what the media organizations wanted. The media organization, I'll say that for sure.
So far, the Trump margin in Pennsylvania is large enough that even if I add Jill Stein votes and Chase Oliver votes, that still wouldn't have helped Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump.
Damn it! I wanted to be the reason why. Damn it! I wanted to look at the vote margin and like liberal. See if Jill Stein the margins that Jill Stein got is directly the reason why you lost. Unfortunately, we can't say that though. Unfortunately,
they called Wisconsin.
So much for those of you that were against us voting for third-party candidates, right? Because even if you added in Jill Stein and the other third-party candidates, it still wouldn't have helped Kamala win. That's a hell of a statement right there.
It looks like they called it. Let's bring it in, Eric.
Who?
Shout out to Sabrina.
It looks like they called Wisconsin.
Who called Wisconsin? Which org are you referring?
I think Fox News. Let me check and see if there was another one. Sorry.
I mean, they must have called something. So they have Trump 277, Harris 226 now.
That's what I'm saying. Like it kind of,
for sure,
kind of just came out of nowhere. That's why I was like, what is going on?
So
it's a matter of time.
That'd be 22. I think it was at 239 or 249, something like that.
I don't see. Yeah, I don't know why they called. I don't know why they call. Oh, I guess the lead is so big in Wisconsin. I don't know why they called Wisconsin though, because nobody else has called it. It's 88% of the votes are in Wisconsin.
Fox News decision desk.
I guess so. So this might mean that JB's prediction was right, because JB predicted that it would be a sweep. We don't know what's going to happen. Oh, Nevada. Let me double check.
Oh yeah,
I think they're just jumping in. I mean, they're still saying they haven't called Wisconsin, but
you got the working class down there. Arizona.
So I want to show this to everybody really because this goes to show you that real RCP was actually right. And for everybody,
I mean, it's generally a good methodology of just averaging out everything.
Yeah, but people were saying no, they're not going to be good because remember, well, I guess not right with Wisconsin because the average they had for it was Kamala winning Wisconsin, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And then the other thing is, they had Georgia right. Yeah, they predicted he would win Georgia, and also that Trump would win North Carolina.
And all that stuff that Fannie Willis did down in Georgia.
What did they say about Pennsylvania? That's what I wanted to see.
YSL.
Yeah,
and with
they
Trump,
predicted he would win Pennsylvania.
Absolutely, I think had a lot to do with that.
It's interesting.
So now we're gonna have Donald Trump that has to deal with the new rising BRICS, and now I'm like immediately thinking about the consequences of this because Donald Trump, last week or so, he said that he's going to pursue sanctions and increase tariffs on countries that pursue de-dollarization, which is the express goal of BRICS, which will only lead to more de-dollarization.
But it's already coming
so
anyway.
A lot of these fake populist people who wanted to win over Trump supporters, so they wasn't critical of Trump over the last few years, it's going to be very interesting to watch their content because Trump has directly advocated for policies that's going to hasten the United States empire being weakened. So it's going to be very interesting to see.
Look, here's one of the things. China is an enemy to the United States, right? And we are purchasing everything from them. What is scary is that we are purchasing our medication, right? And several other things from them. The lifeblood that keeps America going. We need to start bringing manufacturing home in a real serious way, right? We're looking at geopolitical wars on multiple fronts, 3 or 4 at the minimum, right? We don't know what's going to happen here. If I was Israel, I would escalate now while there's only 2 more months of Biden being in the presidency and in the chaos of Trump coming to power and the country reeling on his election, right? If I was Netanyahu, I would start bombing the hell out of everyone that I wanted to bomb down there and then force the United States to support me. So we're in a bad way. But we need to start manufacturing at home. We talk about how we're losing jobs. We need to allow all these immigrants to come in to do the jobs that Americans don't want to do. And I have a lot to ask and talk about that, but I'll save that for another day. But regardless, there's plenty of work for Americans and immigrants to do if we start manufacturing here at home. So take some of the billions of dollars that you've given to Ukraine and given to Israel and the money that you've sanctioned from Iran and other places and start opening up manufacturing. That'd be one form of reparations, right? Make them black businesses and start producing our prescriptions and our physical items here and bring manufacturing back here. Subsidize the jobs program through that so that we're not dependent on our enemies. That's what we should do. Let's continue.
How he never. No, you guys know I'm a nerd. This is like what I'm thinking about. And now we're gonna see if my prediction was correct, because I predicted about a year or two ago that I don't see Trump reining in the NATO proxy war. We will see if I'm correct on that. That was a risky gamble pick, but I'm still sticking with it. Like, I don't think they already heard rumors. I think WikiLeaks posted how the Trump administration already floating hiring Mike Pompeo and like some other swamp monsters.
I think someone's. I think they already debunked that. I have to double check, but I think they.
Okay.
Oh
yeah, I didn't know if it was debunked, but I'm still not convinced, and maybe I may be wrong, but JD Vance came out the other day and said that Trump will absolutely not pull out NATO, that he actually advocating for a stronger NATO, and now you have record amount of NATO countries that are hitting their funding. A record amount of NATO countries right now are hitting their 2% defense spending budget, and that's exactly what Donald Trump won. And JD Vance said when he get in charge, they're going to advocate for countries like Germany to spend even more. And that made me think that they're not going to. Because why would you increase NATO spending and then you're going to let out pressure on Russia? So it'd be interesting. There's a lot of takes I have on this. Thursday's gonna be fun, Savvy, when we do our RBN roundtable, because there's gonna be a lot to break down that day. Trust me. Go ahead, Savvy.
I just want to read this from New York Varsity, and then Eric, if we can do more super chat, I'm just going to take another quick break, and we can do more super chats. Then I'm sorry, my brain is going to explode. It's gotten to the point where I'm not joking, you guys, when I said I close my eyes and all I see are polls. Like that's all I've been seeing for the last couple of days. New York Varsity goes, in Wisconsin, he is up by 100K plus in 2020. There were a total of 320K plus people who voted. They are running out of people. Yeah, because there aren't that many people in Wisconsin. Not as many people. Okay, Eric, you want to go to some of the...
Sure.
All right. So while they kind of go over the super chats, let me let
chats
that play
and then
just mute it so we'll stay current. And then let's go and see if we can't find another map here. All right. So, wow. He still has a 5 million popular vote lead. Again, this is amazing, right? 5 million to win the electoral and the popular vote. I mean, there's leaving no room for doubt, right? And they may take the House and the Senate. I mean, this is... what else can you say? What else can you say? Here in this map here, they haven't called Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, or the other one up there. But at, what was that, 247? Is that where he was? According to this map. But does he only need one, right? Yeah, 247. Trying to get to 270. He only needs 23. Based on this map here, on these numbers, when it switches here. So, and just so you know, this is MSNBC here. So this is the most liberal of the news stations, and they're clearly not calling it yet. And again, so I think it's important that we show many different news sources here so we can see. As he said, you got Wisconsin. I'm tired. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Have they not called Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania alone is I believe that I said that was 19. That should do it damn near by itself. Let's see what's happening here.
70 mark and effectively becoming the 47th president of the United States in what really has been a stunning election cycle of this season, starting off with the fact that it was going to be current President Joe Biden facing off against Donald Trump. All of that changed fairly quickly in July when we learned that Vice President Kamala Harris would be stepping up there to fill in that Democratic.
Right, and the lies, again, wanting to win so desperately that you told Democrats, you told the American people, oh no, this is Joe Scarborough, right? And those of his ilk. Oh man, I haven't seen Joe Biden sharper. Oh, he is just sharp as hell. I was just talking to him the other day. He's smart as a whip and he's quick and this and that. And we're watching it, right? Gaslighting us. He's falling over, walking off on the stage. He's lost. Oh, no, they edited the tape. They did this, they did that. They knew it the whole time. And instead of saying, you know what, this is an issue, we need to go ahead and have a primary. We need to go ahead and you probably would have found someone that wasn't Kamala, right? Again, 4 years ago when she ran to be president, right? She didn't get any. She was the first one to drop out. She was as bad. She was worse. This is worse than Hillary. She was worse than Hillary. But you told us Biden was good, and then you ran a coup on him, put Kamala in, didn't give Democrats the option to nominate their person. You told us who our person was, or I'm not a Democrat. You told us who the Democrats had as a choice. And this is what happens. You pissed off so many folks. You lost the Senate, the House, the electoral, and the popular vote. I mean, damn.
Nomination. And here, kind of culminating to this moment, live there in Florida, House Speaker Mike Johnson as well there. All of the Republicans that have been backing the former president up until now. He is about to speak, I believe. Coming out to that standard song that we have been hearing at every single campaign rally for the last several weeks. Coming down to this moment, the first time we'll be hearing from him since Fox News had projected that he would be the 47th
president. And if you kill him now, J.D. Vance will be president. Oh. Hey.
Thank you very much. Wow. Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
It's crazy. It is crazy.
But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Wow.
And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again. And in addition to having won the battleground states of North Carolina, I love these places, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
Wow. Wow.
We are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. But but it's much easier doing what the networks did or whoever called it, because there was no other path. There was no other path to victory. We also have won the popular vote. That was great.
Can you believe that? I mean, that is wild.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And, winning the popular vote was very nice. Very nice, I will tell you. It's a great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love in this very large room with unbelievable people standing by my side. These people have been incredible. They've made the journey with me, and we're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very proud of your vote. I hope that you're going to be looking back someday and say that was one of the truly important moments of my life when I voted for this group of people beyond the president, this group of great people.
As soon as he might get another Supreme Court justice.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, were all won by the MAGA movement. They helped so much. And in those cases, every one of them, we worked with the senators. They were tough races. And I mean, the number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible. And we did tele-rallies. We did tele-rallies with each one of them. And sometimes we did 2 or 3 and it was amazing to look at all of those victories. Nobody expected that, nobody. So I just wanted to thank you very much for that. And you have some great senators and some great new senators. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives.
There you go. There you go.
And I want to thank Mike Johnson. I think he's doing a terrific job. Terrific job. I want to also thank my beautiful wife, Melania, First Lady. Who has the #1 best-selling book in the country. Can you believe that? No, she's done a great job, works very hard to help people. So I just want to thank her. But I want to thank my whole family, my amazing children, and they are amazing children. Now, we all think our children are amazing. Everybody here thinks their children are amazing, but that's a good thing when you think they are. But Don, Eric, Ivanka, Tiffany, Barron, there's Laura, Jared, Kimberly, Michael, thank you all. What a help. What a great...
That's how you get generational wealth, by the way. Family.
My father-in-law, Victor, is tremendous, and we miss very much Melania's mother, Amalia. We miss Amalia, don't we, huh? She would be very happy right now, standing on this stage. She'd be so proud. She was a great woman, that one. Beautiful inside and out. She was a great woman. I want to be the first to congratulate our great, now I can say, Vice President-elect of the United States, J.D. Vance. And his absolutely remarkable and beautiful wife, Usha Vance. And he's a feisty guy, isn't he? You know, I've said, go into the enemy camp. And you know, the enemy camp is certain networks. And a lot of people don't like to, sir, do I have to do that? He just goes, okay. Which one? CNN, MSDNC? He'll say, all right, thank you very much. He actually looks fun. He's like the only guy I've ever seen. He really looks forward to it, and then he just goes and absolutely obliterates them. Say a couple of words here.
Well, Mr. President, I appreciate you allowing me to join you on this incredible journey. I thank you for the trust that you placed in me. And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting for you, for your dreams, for the future of your children. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
All right, so we checked in with President-elect Donald Trump. Let's just go back through and see. We're at 66 million and 61 million, respectively. This is, who is this? This is MSNBC. Still is not calling it. Let's see. They are playing. Uh-oh. Trump pushes dark, divisive message. They're just going back. This is Joe, and yeah, these guys to me are terrible. And they have done baby boomers a huge disservice.
I went to growing up in elementary or middle or high school or college. They just weren't there. That wasn't the America I grew up in, where people would laugh at the idea of people of the press getting shot. Like everybody would like sit around and like, what's he talking about? Or again, the
laughing at the Puerto Rican
other
joke.
things, laughing at the Puerto Rican joke.
And this guy was a Republican, right?
What NBC has called for Trump thus far have been the states of Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Arkansas.
And for Kamala Harris so
this is
far.
way back. Let me catch up here. It's way earlier. All right, they're done. Let's see. I was like, whoa, they went way back. Are they still talking or sulking?
I don't think this election would have been about that. I think because of Donald Trump.
They should still be talking. Let's see.
Okay, we literally spend we have our production meeting at 9 in the morning. Even before that meeting, all of the producers for the main show are researching stories. What do we want to cover? And then we spend the rest of the day researching it to the best of our abilities, and then we cover it on the show. We never talk out of our ass. Everything that we talk about has been researched as much as we can before we go on air. I say that because when we talk about something and when we bring up issues that are being overlooked by the Democratic Party, we're not doing it because we built an audience for 2 decades and we're looking to grift by pissing them off. We do it because we see the Democrats headed in a bad direction and we're hoping that there'll be some sort of course correction. But rather than maybe taking that data seriously, everyone piles on. Everyone piles on. The leftists pile on. The more establishment Democrats or moderate Democrats pile on, because we want magical thinking.
Yeah.
We want magical thinking.
And so let's address and again, guys, I don't know what to call them. I'm not trying to like disrespect people for no reason. If you give me a name, I'll call them a name. But for now, I'll just say leftists, right? So when we said, hey, look, we're 100% in favor of trans rights. We fought for gay marriage. We fought for LGBTQ community. But specifically, we fought for the trans community. We fought to stop those nonsense bathroom bills. When Trump tried to ban them from the military, we fought that. We fought all these things. But are there some bounds of reason where you're going to lose the American people? Like, for example, on trans detainees that are undocumented getting gender reassignment surgery with taxpayer dollars. Well, look, on issues like that, we said it would be deeply, deeply unpopular. And I remember people doing videos going, no way. You guys don't understand politics. We know it way better than you. And no, this issue's not going to work at all. And DeSantis lost because of it. You can't run on this issue. It'll never work. It's actually super popular. And what happened? The #1 ad that Trump ran that helped him win was on that issue. Not because the American people hate trans folks or LGBTQ folks, but because if you go too far, at some point they go, okay, that's too far. And our job is to be honest with you guys and share our expertise and say, I know what the American people are going to say. I've been covering this for a long, long time. There's no way in the world the American people were going to be like, oh yeah, fantastic. Let's do that. Let's put trans women into all the professional sports, whether the professional sports leagues want them or not, et cetera, et cetera. And we were assured by the leftists that they were geniuses that knew all of this. What happened, geniuses? What happened? I know they'll make 1,000 excuses going forward, just like the establishment Democrats. Everybody's filled to the rim with excuses. Well, no, I bet that commercial didn't make the difference. Yeah, why did he spend the most amount of money? He has internal polling showing that it's working like gangbusters. They started with a small budget and added and added and added because their polling showed it was working. What we keep telling you is do not fall into a right-wing trap. The right-wing trap is, hey, people want gay rights, people want trans rights, so let's go further and further and further until we can find out if there is an unpopular issue we could stick the Democrats with. So when they get to that outer edge, we say to you, don't bother fighting that fight, because then you're going to go backwards and you're going to lose more rights. You're going to lose more rights when they win. But no, nobody believed it because they were all geniuses. Well, what happened? The #1 ad. So it doesn't mean that you don't fight for the trans community. Of course you do. You fight to protect their rights. But guys, it isn't a right of undocumented immigrants to get any surgery from America, whether they're trans or not trans. You can't. I mean, how do you not see that you can't come into a place and go, oh, I came here with no documents and, let's be honest, illegally. Now I demand surgery. Well, brother, you just got here, okay? I mean, what do you mean you demand surgery? Even if you think they should get it. And one of our members wrote in, and I love you, brother, and you made a good case for why you morally think they should. No problem, but you're not gonna win that case with the American people. So, and then we told you about crime. And everybody's, oh, don't ignore it. Don't worry about it. No big deal on crime. No big deal. What happened with Prop 36?
Not as bad as the 90s, Cenk.
Prop 36 passed. George Gascon, the LA district attorney, lost.
Of course he did.
Because crime.
Told you.
Yeah.
Told you.
There are some silver linings tonight.
Yeah. Okay. So it turns out passing that prop that we passed, and I voted for it, where they didn't tell us what was in the proposition, where they said they hid the fact that they were going to move a whole bunch of felonies into misdemeanors. Well, we got hoodwinked. We didn't sign up for that. The Progressive Cause didn't sign up for that. People on the left didn't sign up for that. You have to think about the voters. You could be a leftist doing your little cute stream and go, oh, dude, I know, man, and there's no crime. It's, yeah, I know everything. Well, then why did Prop 36 win easily? Why did George Gascon lose? Why did all the progressives, so-called progressives in Portland lose, in Seattle lose, San Francisco lose, New York lose? Why did you lose every goddamn election if you know so much? No, because you know what? Because I'm such a genius. I have this revolutionary idea that apparently the online leftist clown asses I've never thought of. People don't like to be attacked. People don't like to be robbed. People don't like to be sexually assaulted. People don't like to be killed. People don't like crime. To them, that's like a giant news alert. They didn't know. What? People don't like being robbed or being sexually assaulted? I never. Oh, no. Oh, I got a great idea. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. How'd that turn out for you? How'd that turn out for all of us?
Not well.
Okay.
Well, California Prop 6 didn't pass. Which is disappointing because it prohibits slavery and involuntary servitude. This proposed amendment to California's Constitution would bar slavery in any form and repeal a current provision allowing involuntary servitude as a punishment for crime. It did not.
Okay, I got to say something about that.
Yeah.
Guys, that is a perfectly good proposition. It should have passed 80-20, okay? What do we want?
99-1.
Yeah, it should have passed 100-0. It's asking, hey, should we do slavery inside of jails? Of course we should do slavery inside of jails. So, but why did it fail? Because the Democratic Party in California has lost all credibility. So if the Democrats propose anything now, even the Democratic voters of California go, no. Oh, the Democrats say we should get rid of slavery in jails? No, okay? So leftists, you were 100% wrong. And now a good ballot measure that should have passed easily loses because you lost all credibility with voters, even in California.
Fox News has called Wisconsin for Trump and thus the presidency. It's just Fox News. People are also saying that it's too early to make that call, but that speaks to what you were saying, Cenk, about Fox wanting to be first. They might be right by being first, but as of this moment, they're the only ones who have called this.
All right, one last thing, guys, because it's really important context. I don't want you to walk away from this thinking, oh, the leftists cost us all the elections. No, the number one culprit is establishment Democrats.
100%, yeah.
So the establishment Democrats that took donor money after donor money, and after they raised $1 billion, they still didn't turn around on Gaza. They didn't turn around on anything. They didn't run on any of the economically populist positions. They didn't do any of the incredibly popular progressive positions. Universal health care is at 70%, paid family leave at 84%, and I can go on, and I have. But no, the establishment Democrats say, no, I want the money, I want the money. Oh, yes, donors, yes, donors. Yes, donors has destroyed the Democratic Party. That is by far the biggest problem the Democratic Party has. Some extreme positions of the left has had only added on top. So we've got to clean house and start over. We should run on economic populism, what Bernie ran on in 2016. He went from about 2% to nearly winning the whole damn thing because it was so popular. Go back to things that are fair, humane, serve equality, justice, and that the American people love. Please. And it's on the voters to make that happen. You've got to vote for the people who are going to deliver that for you, and not these standard corporate Democrats. And the leftists are no longer an issue electorally because they've all been wiped out. All throughout the country, there's almost none left. So congratulations on that. Okay, we've got to get back to sanity. We can, and we've got to rebuild. And the good news is when a party is this thoroughly destroyed when you lose to a sociopathic clown twice. You rebuild. You got nothing left. If you're trying to maintain the structure of the Democratic Party and go, no, if we just do it one more time, if we just listen to Chuck Schumer and Keene Jeffries and Joe Biden.
Well, that's what I said. So that'll be the question is, do you triple down or do you say, okay, no more? Democrats didn't like what was happening to Palestine or the Palestinians. Man, there's just so many things. There really are so many things. Too many to name here. But we will over the coming weeks as we go over the autopsy of this election. I should just shut this down since they are gone. Again, fair use. I'll come back to y'all. Oh no, she's done. She's done for the day. I think everyone has finally called it. I think they have had enough. They say no moss. Van Jones and Cardi B were crying. And that's another thing. The people that they put on. Cardi B has admitted to robbing and drugging men for studio time. And that's who you put on to whip up votes. Beyonce and Jay-Z, relationships with Diddy. J-Lo, relationships with Diddy. That's who you put on. You give us entertainers. You don't give us substance. You don't give us policy. How offensive. How offensive. Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. My hope is, like Cenk Uygur was saying, the Democratic Party learns from it. It's bad enough to have only one party. That would be bad enough, right? But we do need a third party. We need ranked choice voting. We need a lot of things to change in this country. And we need true representation. Shout out to, I'm going to steal this from Naomi. Nothing for us without us. I think that's how she said it. People advocating for us when we're not in the room, when we're the best people to advocate for ourselves. You've heard me say power is taken and is not given. If we're going to just sit and ask and ask and ask, could you please, could you please, could you please? And nothing ever happens and they never listen. And the thing was, at the end of the day, it wasn't black men. It wasn't us. We still voted at the second highest rate. And no one else was close. It's why the league exists. It's why the league is necessary. The 18-point political agenda would be a great place for Democrats to start. Question is are you ready to listen? Or do you lose us again? Are you ready to listen? Or do you lose us permanently? Because there's three options. There's sit on the couch. There's continue to go independent and grow their party. Or there's go Republican. The only other option is to come back to this. And bloke folks do like winners. That's why we love Jordan and Tiger Woods Tom Brady. Anyhow, this concludes the inaugural League of Black Male Voters 2024 presidential election. We'll be back soon with more shows. So many things to go over. We're going to be going into the past. I think we have to go backwards to move forward and look and see how we got here. All right? So until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other. And I really mean take care of yourself. On both sides, depending on the outcome, folks are going to be hit really hard. They have whipped themselves up into wanting to leave the country, to being physically and mentally ill. Please take care of yourself. You need you. Your family needs you. You are loved. Whether the right, the left, independent, agnostic, atheist, indifferent. Someone needs you. You need you. All right? Until next time, I'm Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit Podcast Network.